Chapter 2864. Although I don't know where you heard about the heavenly flame, I can tell you that in the Chaos Realm, everyone wants to obtain the heavenly flame, especially alchemists. Longao did not say anything and just listened quietly. His intuition told him that the heavenly flame was definitely not simple. In the legends of the Chaos Realm, there are a total of 23 heavenly flames in the Chaos Realm. Each of them is an incomparably heaven-defying existence. Especially the number 1 heavenly flame. It is said that it can burn the Chaos Realm. Even though Longao had already guessed the power of the heavenly flame, he was deeply shocked by Yunshi's words. Burn the entire Chaos Realm. Just thinking about it, one would know how heaven-defying the number 1 heavenly flame was. As long as an alchemist can fuse with a heavenly flame, the level and success rate of refining elixirs will greatly increase. Sister Yun, is there only one heavenly flame for each heavenly flame? That's right. Yunshi nodded. The expression on her face showed that even she yearned for the legendary heavenly flame. Every heavenly flame is a powerful existence in the Chaos Realm. That's not right. Right at this moment. Yunshi seemed to have thought of something and her face suddenly changed. Sister Yun, what's wrong? Longao was also shocked by Yunshi's sudden action. He did not know why Sister Yun would suddenly act like this. Could something have happened? Back then, Senior Shenyuan seemed to have fused with a heavenly flame. He was not surprised because Longao had already guessed it. Otherwise, the heavenly flame in the Chaos Palace would not have appeared out of nowhere. As for the heavenly flame hidden in the Chaos Palace, Longao did not know what was going on. Not to mention, he did not know how the Chaos Flame in the Chaos Palace ranked among the 23 heavenly flames. However, Longao did not ask because he knew that even if he asked, Sister Yun might not know. It seemed that he would have to wait until he went to the Chaos Realm in the future and slowly explore what kind of heavenly flame he had and what its ranking was. The Chaos Palace was truly a treasure. Sister Yun, what is the heavenly flame that Senior Shenyuan obtained? What is its ranking? Longao could not wait. Yunshi didn't think too much about it. After all, she believed that no matter who it was, even if it was the godly Emperor Domain Lord of the 33 Middle Heavens domains, they wouldn't be able to resist snatching it. Every heavenly flame was an incomparably heaven-defying existence. The mystical flame that Senior Shenyuan obtained is called Heart-Burning Lotus. It is ranked 7th among the 23 types of mystical flames. Yunshi had already guessed that Longao must have noticed something when he suddenly asked about the heavenly flame. Could it be that Longao knew where the strange flame was? Without waiting for Yunshi to ask, Longao said, Sister Yun, to tell you the truth, my spatial artifact was activated by some kind of power. That's why I was forcefully sucked in. Even if Yunshi and the others were fools, they had already understood the meaning behind Longao's words. Just how heaven-defying was the spatial divine artifact in Longao's hands, to actually be able to be triggered by deviant flames. He sighed helplessly. Longao, we know that we have no fate with the heavenly flame or the inheritance. Emperor Yun and Yun Lu seemed to want to say something, but they swallowed it in the end. Since Longao was able to obtain the Shenyuan sword and even the 9 god-slaying swords, this in itself already explained everything. It seemed that when they had just entered the land of inheritance and were still in the first palace, Shenyuan Bubai had already chosen Longao. Since that was the case, it was useless to force it. Furthermore, they had offended Longao for no reason. The gains did not make up for the losses. Sister Yun, if there's anything you want to say, just say it. Yunshi thought for a moment and finally said, Later, the 3 of us will do our best to help you obtain the heavenly flame and the inheritance. We just hope that if anything happens to the Yun family in the future, you can step forward to help. If it's possible, I don't want the inheritance. How could Yunshi and the others not know what Longao meant? If Qian could obtain the inheritance, it would be the best. It would be beneficial to the family and also to Longao. Was it just a possibility? Emperor Yun then said, Longao, I know how you feel about Qian. However, you might not know that Shenyuan Senior has already chosen you as his successor. Hence, if there are no accidents, no one else will be able to obtain the inheritance, let alone the heavenly flame. Longao would, of course, take the heavenly flame for himself. As for the inheritance, it was meant for Qian right from the beginning. As if he could guess what Longao was thinking, Emperor Yun continued, since Shenyuan Senior has already chosen you, regardless of whether you are willing or not, the inheritance will not fall into the hands of others. So that was it. Longao did not say much. He only nodded and promised, Sister Yun, I promise you. Hearing this, Yun she smiled. She finally heaved a sigh of relief. Regarding what happened today, we will not mention it to anyone, not even the family. Hence, no matter what, we have to kill Yi Han and Ling Ruori. Otherwise, once they return to the chaotic realm, they will not only deal with you, but also your family. Yun she did not continue speaking. However, Longao had already guessed that if the news of him obtaining these items spread to the ears of the Yi family and the Ling family, then there was no doubt that both the Yi family and the Ling family would send experts into the starry sky. It was very likely that they would be intermediate gods. By then, who would be able to resist the two families? Just thinking about it gave him a headache. However, the only way to solve the problem was to kill Yi Han and Ling Ruori. It didn't matter to him. He had been through so many years, and he had never been afraid of any danger. Only his family members, not to mention facing a mid-level god, even a low-level god wouldn't be able to contend against them. Sister Yun, thank you very much. I know what to do. Yun she seemed to want to say something. However, when she thought of Yi Han and Ling Ruori's strength, she felt a deep sense of helplessness. It was almost impossible to kill the two of them alone. As for Emperor Yun and Yun Lu, they would not be of much help. Longao's strength had increased rapidly. At the same time, he had obtained the so-called Shenyuan sword and 9 god-slaying swords. However, Yun she was very clear that even if any one of them came out, Longao would not be a match for them, let alone the two of them joining forces. Even if she and Longao joined forces, together with Yun Lu and Emperor Yun, they would not be able to fight to a draw, let alone kill the two of them. This was too difficult. However, Yun she had already decided that no matter what happened, she would help Longao. Other than personal reasons, the most important reason was her family. If she could make Longao remember this favor, when the time came, even if the Yun family was in trouble, they would have a guarantee. Chapter 2865. After Longao and the other three rested for a while, they immediately got up and moved forward. They had to rush to the third palace as soon as possible. Longao tried to use the chaotic flame in his body to sense the heart-burning lotus that Shenyuan Bubai had left behind. The flame that was ranked 7th. It would be a lie if he said that he didn't want to get it. As if she could guess what Longao was thinking, Yun she said, I know that you want to get the heart-burning lotus. But don't be too hasty. As long as you can get the inheritance, the strange flame will definitely belong to you. He was indeed too hasty. Longao smiled. The second palace was far more dangerous than the first palace. However, relying on the 9 god-slaying swords, Longao eventually brought everyone to the entrance of the second palace. Yi Han, Ling Ruoi? Looking at the two figures that had just disappeared, Longao and the other three were in disbelief. Yun Lu was confused and said, Longao has the Shenyuan sword and the 9 god-slaying swords. That's why we could get here smoothly. How did the two of them get here? Luck. Hearing Longao say the word luck, the three of them smiled helplessly. Sometimes, luck was more important than strength. If the two of them were unlucky, they might not be able to get here. Let's go. Longao wasn't worried about the two of them. He brought Yun Shi and the others into the entrance. In the next second, the four of them entered the third palace successfully. In an instant, everything about the third palace appeared in their minds. In other words, the danger here was far less than the first and second palace. The inheritance and strange flame were all in the third palace. Longao, the space divine weapon in your hands seems to be quite good. Yi Han and Ling Ruori already knew that Longao had 2 powerful divine weapons. The space divine weapon was even rarer. In the chaotic realm, the rarest and most valuable divine weapon was the space divine weapon. The two of them didn't fight for it previously because of the inheritance. After this is over, I'll let you stay. I'll wait and see. Longao wasn't afraid at all. If it were other people facing two-peak lower gods, they would have wet their pants. Let's go. At this moment. No matter if it was Yi Han or Ling Ruoyi, they did not have time to waste with Longao and the others. Their purpose of coming here was to get the inheritance. Everything else was nonsense. It wasn't easy for him to make it to the 3rd floor alive. No matter what, he had to obtain the inheritance first. The two of them had already made up their minds. As long as they could obtain the inheritance, they would turn around and kill Longao to snatch the items on him. How could Longao not know what the two people meant? If I can obtain the heavenly flame, I am confident that I can keep the two of them here. Longao was still unable to use the deviant flame within his dantian. However, his intuition told him that the primal chaos flame that he had just obtained was definitely not simple. Even the last-ranked heavenly flame was a heaven-defying existence. If he could get the heart-burning fire lotus left behind by Shenyuan Bubai, it would not be impossible for him to kill two people at the peak of the low-level deity stage. Longao, you must kill two of them. He nodded. Longao brought the three of them and immediately headed towards another direction. This was because everyone was very clear in their hearts that if they wanted to obtain the inheritance, it was not something that could be solved by relying on strength alone. Luck was the main factor. Whoever Shenyuan Bubai fancied would be able to obtain the inheritance. The inheritance of a divine emperor, not to mention in the starry sky, even in the entire chaotic world, or even in the 33 heavens, it would attract countless experts to fight for it. The 3rd floor of the palace was indeed much less dangerous. Even though Longao and the others had been in the 3rd floor of the palace for a month, they had not encountered any danger. However, they had not found the inheritance. It was very helpless. Initially, he thought that he could use the primal chaos flame in his body to sense the heart-burning fire lotus in the place of inheritance. However, he did not expect the primal chaos flame to be in a deep sleep. If this were to continue, who knew what would happen? Longao, what's wrong? Looking at the lonely Longao, Yunshi and the others were curious. They did not know what had happened. Sister Yun, I have a favor to ask of you. I hope that you can promise me. You must promise me. Ah! Yunshi seemed to have never seen Longao like this. She did not know what had happened and asked impatiently, what's wrong? Even Yun Di and Yun Lu were a little curious. This did not seem like Longao's style. Longao's face was filled with helplessness as he said even more helplessly, I never thought that I would be able to grasp the primal chaos power so quickly. I have a feeling that in at most 3 months, I will be forced into the primal chaos channel and enter the primal chaos world. So that was it. When Yunshi and the others heard Longao's words, they all heaved a sigh of relief. They were not surprised. Yunshi smiled and said, Longao, you don't have to do this. No matter which starry sky, once you refine the primal chaos stone and grasp the primal chaos force in the primal chaos stone, you will be forcefully sucked into the channel of the starry sky and enter the chaotic world. Previously, it was because your family forcefully sealed the channel. So now, Sister Yun, I know this. I also hope that I can enter the chaotic world as soon as possible. But my family is still sealed in the soaring dragon realm. If nothing unexpected happens, I will not have the chance to see them again. Longao's meaning was very clear. Yunshi and the others had heard it clearly. Yunshi nodded and said, we were going to let you return to the chaotic world with us, but we did not expect you to grasp the primal chaos force so quickly. Even we can't do anything about it. Yunshi really didn't have a way. Moreover, she knew very well that not to mention her, even if a divine emperor came, he wouldn't be able to change anything. However, Yunshi was worried about where Longao would be teleported to. No one knew which heavenly region he would be teleported to. After all, each heavenly region was boundless. It was too difficult to go from one heavenly region to another. Longao, I already know what you mean. Don't worry, I will stay in this starry sky for a while. In addition to helping your family break the seal, I will also find a secluded plane for them to cultivate. As for Yi Han and Ling Ruoyi, even if we can't kill them, they will not be able to find your family. Longao, of course, trusted Yunshi. Otherwise, He would not have entrusted his family to Yun Shi. He never thought that he would leave the starry sky in such a short time. He did not even have time to explain to his family. If it were not for the Yi and Ling families, the soaring dragon empire could have become a starry sky. After all, the clairvoyant and Yi Dugu had left. Long Mie and the others had all fallen. The soaring dragon empire still had the ruler of the starry sky. Chapter 2866. He didn't say anything else. Since things had turned out this way, there was no point in saying anything more. Luckily, the family had Yun Shi to take care of them. The most important thing now was to enter the chaos world and make a name for himself as soon as possible. In that case, even if his family were to enter the chaos world in the future, they would be able to stand firm. Yun Shi and the rest didn't say much. After all, they didn't expect Longao to master the power of chaos so quickly. For the rest of the time, Longao and the other three started to look for the strange flame and the inheritance again. However, the third palace was too big. Even with their speed, they might not even be able to cover 1/1000th of it. If they were to continue looking, who knew when it would come to an end? Longao didn't know if he would be forcefully taken into the Chaos Passage in the Land of Inheritance. If he were to enter the Chaos World in 3 months and didn't get Shenyuan Bubai's inheritance, it would be a pain in the ass. He had already gotten Shenyuan's sword and 9 god-slaying swords successfully. He was considered half a disciple of Shenyuan Bubai. Strange flame. Where was the heart-burning lotus? Longao wasn't really interested in Shenyuan Bubai's inheritance. He was only interested in the strange flame. It was the same thing. His instinct told him that the heart-burning lotus in Shenyuan Bubai's hands was definitely not simple. It could summon the chaos flame in the Chaos Hall. During this period of time, Longao asked Yun Shi about the 23 strange flames again. However, what made Longao helpless was that even Yun Shi didn't know which of the 23 strange flames there were. 1 month passed in the blink of an eye. There were only 2 months left before he left the vast galaxy. Once 2 months had passed, regardless of whether he got the strange flame or not, he would be forcefully taken into the Chaos Passage and enter the Chaos World. Time passed by quickly. Half a month passed again and there was still no news about the strange flame. However, there was only 1 month left. Yi Han and Ling Ruori were furious. They had been wandering around for almost 2 months but they didn't even see the shadow of the inheritance. How could they not be furious? Longao, did you get the inheritance? Creating trouble out of nothing. The two of them were very clear that Longao definitely did not obtain the inheritance. Otherwise, why would Longao still stay here? They believed that he would have left long ago. Ling Ruori looked at Longao and thought of something. She smiled and said, "It looks like you will be going to the Chaos World soon. I hope you can survive." Yi Han coldly snorted. Survive? Whether he can enter the Chaos Realm alive is still unknown. How could Longao not know what Yi Han meant? However, Yun Shi said angrily, "Yi Han, who do you think you are? Whether or not Longao can enter the primal Chaos Realm alive is not up to you." Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Yi Han laughed crazily and said, "Yun Shi, why are you so nervous about Longao? Have you taken a fancy to him? You are shameless." Yun Shi could not take it anymore and immediately attacked. Just in time. Yi Han was waiting for this moment. Ling Ruori did not hesitate at all. In the blink of an eye, the 3 peak lower gods were fighting again. They exchanged blows and the fight was very intense. Emperor Yun and Yun Lu were about to go and help but were stopped by Longao. Longao, what is the meaning of this? Although they had a good relationship with Longao, under such circumstances, Longao suddenly stopped them. What was the meaning of this? Could it be that Longao wanted to kill with a borrowed knife? Anyone could see that the young miss had no chance of winning against the two of them by herself. If this continued, who knew what would happen? Longao smiled. "I don't have much time left. If I can't kill the two of them, even if I enter the Chaos World and have Sister Yun and you to protect my family, I will still be worried." Longao had been thinking about this for a long time. Although Yun Shi was powerful, it was impossible for her to stay in the vast starry sky forever. Once the Yi family and the Ling family heard that he had obtained these things, it was obvious what the outcome would be. By then, the Yi family and Ling family would send experts down. If his family suffered, he would not even have the chance to regret. Just as he was thinking about this, Longao was ready to kill Yi Han and Ling Ruori during the time he was away. Although his cultivation had successfully broken through to the half-step lower-level deity stage, it was indeed quite impossible for him to kill a lower-level deity stage warrior. Longao, what do you want to do? Emperor Yun and Yun Lu scolded themselves. They had been in contact with Longao for some time. They knew what kind of person Longao was. How could Longao watch Yun Shi die? You don't have to worry about it. Let me do it. Emperor Yun and Yun Lu were very curious. They did not know what Longao was going to do. No matter what, Yi Han and Ling Ruori were real warriors at the peak of the lower divine realm. It was impossible to kill the two of them successfully. However, the two of them knew Longao very well. If he was not confident, Longao would not do it. Did Longao really have the confidence to kill Yi Han and Ling Ruori? Be careful. Chen will be waiting for you at the Yun family. Looking at the two in front of him, Longao knew that at this moment, the two of them had truly accepted him. Longao bowed respectfully to the two of them and said, I know that you will return to your family soon. I will leave my family in your hands. No matter where I am sent to, I will try my best to get to Chen Kuan City. Help me pass a message to Chen Tell her that she is waiting for me. All right. Longao turned around and looked at the three people who were fighting in front of him. His face suddenly became very serious. Father, what is Longao trying to do? Emperor Yun shook his head. Even he could not tell what Longao was trying to do. However, in his opinion, it was indeed impossible for Longao to kill Yi Han and Ling Ruori by himself. Thinking of this, Emperor Yun said fiercely, wait a moment. The two of us will take action immediately. No matter what, we cannot let anything happen to Longao, and Miss One was the miss of the family and the other was Chen sweetheart. Both of them could not be harmed. Since they had truly accepted Longao, their attitude towards Longao had indeed changed. Father, I know what to do. I would rather choose to explode my primordial spirit than let anything happen to Miss and Longao. Not only Yun Lu, but even Emperor Yun had made up his mind. If there was no other choice, he could only choose to explode his primordial spirit. In that case, he might be able to help Miss a little. After all, the two peak lower gods were too powerful. Chapter 2867. Longao was well aware of his own strength. It was almost impossible for him to resist an apex low-level deity head-on. But for the family, he had to kill the two of them. He could not leave any trouble for the family. As for himself, Longao was not too worried. After all, he had entered the chaotic realm. Who knew where he would be teleported to? He might be in another heavenly region far away from the Blackstone region. You forced me to do this. His normal strength would not work. Longao's body was gathering blood vessels quickly. After a while, countless blood vessels had gathered in Longao's hands. Burning blood vessels to increase his strength forcefully. Longao is crazy. Seeing Longao's actions, Emperor Yun finally understood Longao's intention. Legend had it that there was a secret skill that could temporarily increase one's strength by burning blood essence. But the consequence of doing so would be death or serious injury. It might even have a negative impact on one's future cultivation. Yun Lu sighed deeply and did not say anything. Yun Shi also saw Longao's situation and exclaimed, "You're crazy." Things had already turned out this way. Longao could not care less. There was only one thought in his heart, and that was to kill the two of them no matter what. His fighting spirit rose crazily. He held the Shenyuan sword and used the second sword of the 9 god-slaying swords. Under normal circumstances, with Longao's strength, how could he use the second sword? But after burning blood essence, Longao's strength rose to the level of a lower god. But there was still a gap between him and the peak lower god. Yi Han and Ling Ruori were completely stunned. Longao only burned blood essence to increase his strength. They were not afraid at all. But Longao's situation was a little special. Xianyuan sword and the 9 god-slaying swords were not something they could fight against. They did not dare to be entangled with Yunxi. The two of them immediately attacked Longao. They took the opportunity to kill Longao. As long as they could kill Longao, not only could they get the Xianyuan sword and the 9 god-slaying swords, they could even get the inheritance. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. In just a few seconds, his fighting spirit had soared to the extreme. Longao's speed was very fast because he knew that he wouldn't be able to last long by burning his blood essence to forcefully increase his strength. End the battle quickly. He couldn't afford to be sloppy. The longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Yunxi dragged Yihan away while Longao fought with Ling Ruori. Longao did not show mercy just because Ling Ruori was a woman. Each strike was faster than the last. The shadow of the sword covered Ling Ruori instantly. From the beginning to the end, Ling Ruori did not even have the chance to fight back. Longao, how dare you kill me? Previously, he had not put Longao in his eyes at all. However, he had never thought that the ant that he did not put in his eyes would actually have the strength to kill him now. It was complete nonsense. Ling Ruori was really scared. She had already guessed Longao's intention. Otherwise, Longao would not risk burning his blood essence to kill the two of them. He simply ignored them. Yihan, save me. Yihan could not even take care of himself now. How could he help her? Crack. Ling Ruori was hit by the sword. If she had not dodged in time, she would have been killed by the sword alone. After Longao had severely injured Ling Ruori, he immediately went towards Yihan. However, at this moment, Longao suddenly felt pain in his body. He was shocked. He did not expect that he could not even last 3 minutes after burning his blood essence to increase his strength. It was too deceptive. Yihan pushed Yunxi away and quickly came to Ling Ruori's side. He asked worriedly, "Ruori, are you okay?" Ling Ruori shook her head. Her face was filled with shock. Until now, she had not expected Longao to be able to injure her severely. If she had not experienced it herself, she would not have believed it even if she was beaten to death. "Longao, what do you want?" Yunxi looked at Longao beside her and was also extremely shocked. However, she was extremely worried in her heart. The consequences of burning one's blood essence to forcefully increase one's strength could be imagined. It was already fortunate that Longao did not immediately die from the backlash. "Yihan, Ling Ruori, even if I have to burn my blood essence and die, I will kill the two of you." Yihan and Ling Ruori certainly did not want to die. Their faces were gloomy and they looked terrible. Because at this moment, the two of them were really scared. "Longao, tell us your conditions." "Okay. First, the two of you have to make a primordial spirit oath to leave this place immediately and not stay in the starry sky." "Okay, we agree." Yihan and Ling Ruori were not reconciled. They had no choice but to give up the inheritance so easily. Although the inheritance was important, it was not as important as their lives. Ling Ruori and Yihan had no choice. Longao did not hesitate to burn his blood essence to increase his strength. He even had the Xianyuan sword and the 9 godly swords. Such strength was enough to kill them. Moreover, Longao had Yunxi, who was at the peak of the lower god realm, beside him. If they did not choose to retreat, there would only be one outcome, which was death. With endless reluctance, the two of them could only make a primordial spirit oath. Although Yunxi and the rest were curious, they did not say much. They could not understand. Since Longao had already burned his blood essence, why didn't he kill the two of them directly to eliminate all future troubles? Second, the two of you return to Qiankuan City. Today, you just have to keep it a secret and make a primordial spirit oath. No matter if it is the Yi family or the Ling family, no one will come. Longao, don't go overboard. We can keep it a secret. However, the matters of the family are not something that the two of us can decide casually. Yihan and Ling Ruori were extremely angry. As the favored sons of the family, they had never been humiliated like this. It was simply a great humiliation. However, under such circumstances, they had no other choice. After all, Longao had obtained the Xianyuan sword and the 9 godly swords. Kill. Yi Han and Ling Ruori looked at the murderous look on Longao's face and could not help but shiver. The two of them did not dare to hesitate and immediately made a primordial spirit oath. Senior Shenyuan, the two of us are willing to retreat. Senior Shenyuan, please open the passage. Sure. An ethereal voice sounded. Then, the two of them were enveloped by a ray of light. However, at this moment, Yi Han and Ling Ruori's voices sounded at the same time. Longao, wait till you step into my Chen Kuan city. I will definitely kill you. At the moment when the two of them left, Longao could not hold on any longer. He knelt down immediately. Longao, how are you? Looking at Longao, who was still holding on bitterly, Yunshi already knew why Longao wanted to let the two of them go. Chapter 2868. I'm fine. Longao knew that the consequences of burning his blood essence to increase his strength would be severe. It was not a good sign to enter the chaotic realm. He sighed helplessly. Longao did not regret it. No matter what, Yi Han and Ling Ruori had made a primordial spirit oath. Whether it was the Yi family or the Ling family, even the two of them, he believed that they would not be a threat to the family. Of course, Yunshi could guess what Longao was thinking. She said helplessly, why do you have to do this? Sister Yun, I can't cause trouble for you. After this is over, you can return to the family after settling my family. I understand. No matter where you are, I will look for you. Yunshi's heart skipped a beat. She had thought about this countless times. As Longao was forced into the chaotic realm through the chaotic realm, she did not know which heaven Longao would be in. The only thing she was sure of was that Longao would be in the 33 lower heavens. Longao, be careful. Unless you have no other choice, don't reveal the Shenyuan sword. Otherwise, you will be in a lot of trouble. I know. Yunshi reached out and touched Longao's face gently. How could she not know that she had unknowingly fallen in love with this little boy? I will wait for you in Chengkuan City. After saying that, Yunshi, Emperor Yun, and Yun Lu said to the void, we choose to give up too. As you wish. In the next second, the three of them disappeared quickly. From then on, only Longao was left in the land of legacy. Senior Shenyuan. Looking at the man in front of him, Longao did not even need to guess. He already knew that the man in front of him should be the legendary Shenyuan Bubai, the War Emperor. You are not bad. Shenyuan Bubai's eyes were filled with admiration. Since you have my Shenyuan sword and 9 god-slaying swords, from now on, you are my successor. Of course, Longao understood what Shenyuan Bubai meant. He immediately knelt down and called out, Master. Very well, you may rise. Longao stood up and looked at his master. He didn't know what to say. Of my 3 most important things, you have already obtained the Shenyuan sword and the 9 god-slaying swords. As for my heart-burning fire lotus, Longao already knew how powerful the strange flame was. Furthermore, he also had a type of strange flame in his body. However, he did not know where the flame of primal chaos ranked among the 23 types of strange flames. No matter what the ranking was, according to Yunshi, every heavenly flame was an extremely domineering existence. If he could obtain his master's deviant flame, then he would possess 2 types of deviant flames. What kind of concept was that? Master, please grant my wish. Since he was about to enter the primal chaos realm, the more strength he had, the more protection he would have. Shenyuan Bubai stared at the disciple he had just accepted and said, I can give you the heavenly flame, but you must agree to one condition of mine. Master, please speak. A master for a day, a father for life. Since Longao treated Shenyuan Bubai as his master, then no matter what it was, as his disciple, he would complete it on behalf of his master. As if he could guess what Longao was thinking, Shenyuan Bubai nodded his head in satisfaction and said, when you obtain the strange flame, the last bit of my primordial spirit will disappear forever. Longao did not say anything. Of course, he knew what his master meant. 1 month later, you will enter the chaotic world. Remember my words. If you can bear with it, bear with it. If you can't, you don't have to bear with it. Originally, I wanted to use enlightenment to give all my power to you. However, if I did that, even if you could become a divine emperor in the future, it would be impossible for you to continue climbing. What does that mean? Was his master not going to pass down his inheritance to him? Longao was very curious. However, he still did not say anything. I will pass down the Shenyuan sword, the 9 godslaying swords and the strange flame to you. However, my inheritance is not suitable for you. If you forcefully accept it, it will only bring you harm in the future. I have confidence in you. I believe that you will go further on your own path. I see. Your disciple understands. This is the burning heart flame lotus. It is ranked 7th among the 23 strange flames. Assimilate it quickly. I have something to tell you later. Yes. Longao received Shenyuan Bubai's flame seed gently. Fortunately, Shenyuan Bubai was suppressing it. Otherwise, it would not be easy to devour and refine the strange flame seed. The worst outcome would be to be devoured by the strange flame seed. Time was tight. Longao did not dare to be negligent. With his master's help, he knew that it would be much easier for him to refine the strange flame seed. 1 month later, Longao successfully refined the strange flame seed. It was also quietly staying in Longao's dantian. Of the 2 strange flames, one was the primal chaos flame and the other was the burning heart flame lotus. However, the primal chaos flame was located in the most important part of his dantian. The burning heart flame lotus was at the side and did not dare to go near it. Longao was very curious. It seemed like the primal chaos flame that appeared in his primal chaos palace was of a higher grade than the burning heart flame lotus. As for the primal chaos flame, Longao pondered for a long time. In the end, he did not mention it. You refined the burning heart flame lotus in 1 month. Although you had my help, it seems like you are indeed his master in this lifetime. Your master has already given you the 3 most important things. As for the inheritance, help me find a person when the time comes. His talent does not need to be too high. Longao knew what his master meant. If one's talent was too high, even if he could obtain the inheritance and become a divine emperor, his future path would be blocked. He said helplessly, your disciple will definitely help master find a suitable person. Back then, your master had obtained many prescriptions regarding alchemy, blacksmithing, talisman, and arrays. There are also many things that you need. I have already fused them all into your primordial spirit. If you can become an alchemist or array master, your revenge will not be far away. Revenge? Sure enough. Longao had already guessed that what his master wanted him to do was most likely to be revenge. Otherwise, his master would not have fallen. After all, a divine emperor, even in the primal chaos world, was the pinnacle existence. How could he fall for no reason? Master, I wonder who your enemy is. Longao had already guessed that if there was no accident, the person who could kill his master was definitely not an ordinary person. At the very least, he should be a divine emperor. He had just stepped into the primal chaos world. It would be a long time before he could kill a divine emperor. However, Longao did not intend to give up. Even if he could not do it now, it did not mean that he could not do it in the future. One day, he would be able to rely on his own efforts to become a divine emperor. P.S. The 5th chapter has been delivered. The remaining 5 chapters will be updated in turn later. Please vote for Longao. If you have the ability, you can also tip him. Xiaoju will be very grateful. Chapter 2869. In my life, I have a total of 2 disciples. Other than you, there is another person called Jiyu Hao. Jiyu Hao? Could this be related to Jiyu Hao? In the Chaos Realm, Jiyu Hao's talent is also an extremely heaven-defying existence. In a short span of tens of thousands of years, Jiyu Hao has already broken through the Divine King realm and reached the Divine Emperor realm. Longao did not say anything. His intuition told him that his master's fall was definitely related to this senior brother that he had never met before. When Jiyu Hao became a Divine Emperor, I started my closed-door cultivation, hoping to reach a higher realm. However, I didn't expect that unfilial disciple to take advantage of the critical moment of my cultivation to attack me. As expected, Longao had already guessed that his master's death was definitely related to Jiyu Hao. He wanted to seize my strange fire. Forget it, all of this is already in the past. You only need to remember that when you are strong enough, take revenge for your master. Yes. Although Shenyuan Bubai believed in Longao's talent, it was simply too difficult to reach Jiyu Hao's level. Jiyu Hao, if my guess is correct, the endless Jiyu Hao should have already grasped the time rewind. Time rewind? What was that? His master did not say, and Longao did not ask. Because Longao was very clear in his heart that if his master wanted to say something, he did not need to ask, and his master would say it. If his master did not want to say it, then even if he asked, it would be useless. Jiyu Hao is the domain lord of the Thunder Heavenly region. After he finished speaking, Shenyuan Bubai's figure suddenly disappeared. Looking at the inheritance in his hands, Longao felt helpless. No matter what, he had to find a successor for his master. If nothing unexpected happened, no matter who received the inheritance of power, they would be able to become a divine king in the future. Those with good talent could even become a divine emperor. It would be a lie to say that he was not tempted at all. His own path. Just as his master had said, if he devoured the inheritance, he might be able to greatly shorten the time to become a divine emperor, or even shorten it by a third or even half. However, it was not his own path. If he wanted to go further, he had to walk his own path. In the next second, Longao's figure appeared in the vast starry sky. Longao, you obtained the inheritance. He nodded. Longao did not hide anything from Yun Shi and the others. He gave them a rough account of the situation. Congratulations, your family has been settled by me. Would you like to go take a look? Shaking his head, Longao suppressed the reluctance in his heart and said helplessly, forget it. When I establish my own force in the Chaos Realm, they will naturally come. Of course, Yunshi knew what Longao was thinking and did not say anything. He took out his master's inheritance. I've already successfully obtained the Shenyuan sword, 9 god-slaying swords, and heavenly flame. These are master's legacy powers. I want to walk my own path, so I won't devour them. The inheritance of the divine emperor's power. The three of them knew very well what the inheritance of the battle emperor's power meant. Once he devoured it, he would be able to obtain the power of the war emperor. In the future, he would at least be able to become a divine king or even a divine emperor. Longao, are you really going to give up? My path, I want to walk it myself. Yun Shi and the others admired Longao. After all, not everyone could resist such a temptation. This was the power inheritance of a divine emperor. If it was placed in the primal chaos world, countless people would fight for it. Sister Yun, pass master's inheritance to Chen. Remember, don't tell anyone about this, including your family. Yun Shi and the others knew that a man's wealth would arouse the envy of others. In the face of the inheritance of the war emperor, there would be many people coveting it. If Chen was not strong enough and this was leaked, the consequences would be unimaginable. Master's seal is in the inheritance. Understood. Whether it was Emperor Yun or Yun Lu, their faces were filled with excitement. They were grateful to the person in front of them. If it wasn't for Longao, how could Chen obtain the inheritance of the war emperor? This was an inheritance that could create a divine emperor. They did not expect Longao to walk his own path and pass the inheritance to Chen. Thank you. Cloud Emperor and Yun Lu didn't know what to say. They were speechless. When are you going to leave? In 3 days. Longao could clearly sense when he would leave this vast starry sky. He was very reluctant. No matter what, this was his home. However, he also understood that his final goal was the Chaos Realm. If he didn't work hard, it would be troublesome if someone in his family grasped primal chaos energy and entered the Chaos Realm. Be careful. All right. Longao chatted with the three of them briefly before arriving at the Martial Heaven continent, which was the primal chaos spring. 3 days later, he would be drawn into the primal chaos channel. As for which heaven he would go to, that was unknown. However, according to Yun Shi, everyone who entered the primal chaos world would be sent to the 33 lower heavens. Longao took a deep breath and immediately sat down on the ground. Fortunately, His master had used the last of his primordial spirit to help him recover completely from the after-effects of burning his blood essence. Otherwise, if he had entered the chaotic realm in his previous condition, he could imagine what would have happened. Regarding the Chaos Realm, Longao could be said to have a smattering of knowledge. He didn't know which heaven he would be teleported to. It would be best if he could be teleported to the Black Stone heavenly region. After all, he had just stepped into the Chaos Realm. Going to Qianquan City was the best choice. However, the chances of him being teleported to the Black Stone heavenly region was very low. 3 days later. Suddenly opening his eyes, Longao suddenly sensed a terrifying suction force within the primal chaos channel, directly sucking him into the channel. From the beginning to the end, Longao discovered that he had no way of resisting. Dizzy, Longao's body was damaged by the primal chaos energy released by the channel. It seemed that it would be troublesome to enter the chaos realm smoothly. In the distance, Yunxi and the others seemed to have sensed something. She said helplessly, "Longao has entered the chaos realm. We will leave here in 3 days. From now on, there will be no more lower gods in this universe." Cloud Emperor and Yunlu were very clear about the young Miss meaning. If a lower god appeared, then no one in the entire vast starry sky would be able to fight against him. Although they had already settled down Longao's family, it was better to be safe than sorry. If something happened to Longao's family, they would not be able to explain it. "Young miss, about Qian'er. I know what you mean. Qian'er should follow us. Don't leak out the news of the inheritance. Don't tell anyone in the family. Qian'er is the hope of our family." Yes. A few days later, Yunxi led Emperor Yun and the others, including Qian'er, out of the vast universe. P.S. The next chapter is the official entry into the Chaos Realm. It is also the last chapter of this book. The 6th chapter has been delivered. There are 4 more chapters today. Chapter 2870. In the vast starry sky. In an extremely hidden plane. Because Yunxi had successfully broken her imprint, the Long family members had all been settled down without a single accident. As for the primal chaos rock, it had truly perished because it had ignited its power. Longao was extremely grateful towards this spiritual beast from the primal chaos realm. Yu Yin, Aoshue, Murong Yanga, and Bai Ling sat there quietly, their faces filled with worry. Longao had already entered the primal chaos realm, and it was extremely dangerous. No one knew what would happen. It would be a lie to say that they weren't worried. Big sister Yu Yin, if we want to refine the primal chaos tablets in our bodies, it's truly a bit difficult. Based on this situation, when will we be able to head to the primal chaos realm to find Brother Ao? Yu Yin's face was gloomy as well. From now on, we'll all go into seclusion at the same time. If we don't refine the primal chaos tablets in our bodies, we won't come out. Not just the 4 girls. Even Longhaosha and the others chose to go into seclusion to refine the primal chaos tablets. The primal chaos realm. It was the most supreme realm in the vast starry sky. It was extremely large and could be said to be boundless. Furthermore, the primal chaos realm possessed the power of primal chaos. The primal chaos realm was divided into 99 heaven realms, which were divided into 33 lower heaven realms, 33 middle heaven realms, and 33 upper heaven realms. No matter which plane it was, 60% of the people there were ordinary people. These people were unable to devour the primal chaos tablets, and so were unable to become demigods. If they could devour the primal chaos tablets but were unable to control the power of primal chaos within, they would be considered half-step demigods. A light flashed. Longao's body slammed viciously onto the ground. His entire body was in tatters, and he looked like a beggar. He was in an extremely wretched state. The primal chaos channels are truly terrifying. He wasn't injured, but he definitely didn't feel good. Longao stood up and patted the dust off his body. Looking at his surroundings, he knew that he had already arrived at the primal chaos realm. Half-step demigod. Any random demigod would be able to deal with him. It was best to raise his strength as soon as possible. Demigods were divided into elementary, middle, high, and peak. According to Yunxi, He had just stepped into the primal chaos realm and needed a long time to temper his body with the help of the primal chaos realm. Only then could he truly draw the power of heaven and earth into his body. Junior demigods controlled 30% of primal chaos energy, mid-level demigods controlled 60%, high-level demigods controlled 90%, and supreme demigods controlled 10%. Currently, he could only control 1% of the chaotic power. Hurry up and draw the primal chaos energy into your body. Someone's there. Right at this moment. Not too far away, 4 people quickly walked over, 3 men and 1 woman. Longao's primal divinity was extremely powerful, comparable to a god's. Thus, with just a slight probing from his primal divinity, he was able to smoothly sense the true power of these 4 people. The muscular man at the very front was a supreme demigod. The 2 men and 1 woman behind him were a mid-level demigod and 2 low-level demigods. Who are you? Hey! Did you break through from the starry skies? He hasn't even finished tempering his body. Longao was very surprised. He didn't expect that he would be exposed at first sight. He nodded. Longao said resignedly, I just gained control of the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos stone, and then I was forcibly drawn here by the primal chaos conduit. What is this place? The 4 all laughed. There were countless stars beneath the primal chaos realm. Every day, many people would break through from the 33 lower celestials and come here. These people were the weakest, and were the prey of many people. Wang Shen laughed, then said, What's your name? Longao. My name is Wang Shen. This is our captain, Morbai, a supreme demigod. As for the other 2, one is called Chu Leng, the other is called Yuan Hua. We are a squad known as the Blackwind Squad. Just as Wang Shen finished speaking, the nearby Yuan Hua laughed as well. You are lucky that you encountered us. If it were anyone else, you wouldn't even have a chance to temper your body. Then can I join you? Longao knew his current situation very well. Just as Yuan Hua had said, given that he had just entered the primal chaos realm, he believed that many people would be willing to kill him. If he was able to temporarily join this squad, that would be a very good thing. Hearing Longao's words, the 4 of them once more laughed. Wang Shen laughed, You really are smart. But still, I'll say it again. You are lucky that you encountered us. Back then, the 3 of us had just come up from below when we encountered Big Brother Morbai. Otherwise, before Wang Shen could finish her words. Off to the side. Morbai, who hadn't spoken this entire time, laughed. Enough. Let's not talk about what happened back then. Brother Long, if you are willing, you can temporarily join our Blackwind squad. I am willing. Just like that, Longao temporarily joined the Blackwind squad. Sister Shen, in the primal chaos realm, are the primal chaos steelies worthless? Hard to say. After all, we can only devour a single primal chaos steely. Even if we encounter a high-level primal chaos steely, we won't be able to devour it again. As for obtaining the legacy within a high-level primal chaos steely, that's virtually impossible. Why is that? This was something that Longao was extremely curious about. This was because his master, Shenyuan Bubai, hadn't left behind his primal chaos steely. Such a powerful war emperor, it was impossible that he didn't have a primal chaos steely. As though she could guess what Longao was thinking, Wang Shen laughed. If you are lucky, you can obtain the legacy of the primal chaos steely. If you are unlucky, you might be devoured by the primal chaos steely and even have your soul stolen. This sort of danger isn't something that everyone is willing to take. So that was the case. According to the information that Longao had obtained, the primal chaos steely that a person devoured could actually be upgraded according to their own strength. In other words, when a warrior's cultivation base broke through from demigod to mid-god, then correspondingly, the primal chaos steely within their body would also upgrade. At this moment, Chu Leng said, Brother Long, actually, you don't know this. Once your body is completely tempered by the primal chaos energy, the primal chaos steely within your body will fuse with your body and disappear. Even if the primal chaos steely upgrades, it won't be of much use. In the end, the primal chaos steely only allows you to communicate with the heavens and earth and draw the primal chaos energy into your body. It also allows you to control an attribute. But if you want a corresponding attribute martial skill, it will be extremely difficult. Then what should I do? After the primal chaos steely fuses with your body, you can choose to cultivate martial skills of other attributes. If you don't want to fuse with them, that's fine too. The primal chaos steely can still be kept. So that was the case. Longao finally understood what everyone was saying. In the end, the primal chaos steely didn't have much use. It was only used to communicate with the primal chaos energy. It seemed that he had thought too highly of the primal chaos steely. Chapter 2871. Alright, stop playing with Brother Long. Morbai was speechless. He smiled and said, Brother Long, don't listen to their nonsense. When you temper your body, the tablet will automatically fuse with your body and change your physique. Change physique. Longao wasn't angry at all. He was clear that the three of them treated him as a friend. That was why they were joking. He liked this atmosphere. Wang Xian smiled and said, Alright, I won't joke with you anymore. What we said just now was just for fun. After tempering one's body, they will automatically fuse with the tablet and change their physique. What type of physique they have will correspond to what type of cultivation techniques and martial techniques they can cultivate. Nodding. Longao understood. The thunder tablet fused with the thunder attribute physique. If one wanted to cultivate water attribute martial techniques and techniques, not only would it not have any benefits, it would even have a negative effect. There's one thing we're not joking with you. That is, don't casually swallow other people's tablets. If you get swallowed, the consequences will be unimaginable. I understand. Chu Lung was helpless. In the entire chaos world, even if countless people swallow the tablet, they won't be able to use the tablet to communicate with the power of chaos. They can only be ordinary people. 1/10. Even 1/20. Such a ratio was a little terrifying. Along the way, Longao asked many things. As for where the tablets came from, no one knew. Perhaps even the Divine Emperor Domain Lord didn't know. Anyways, there were tablets scattered all over the chaos world. As long as one could find one to swallow, there was hope of communicating with the power of chaos and cultivating martial arts. Basically, all the tablets were of the lowest grade. After all, after tempering one's body, the tablet would fuse with the body. As for wanting to force the inheritance into the tablet before death, there were such things, but it was very rare. According to Wang Xian, the heaven he was transported to was called 9 Underworld. 9 Underworld Heaven was considered to be at the bottom of the 33 lower heaven domains. As for 9 Underworld Heaven, it was too far away from Blackstone Heaven Domain. With his strength, he would need at least 10,000 years to reach there. Brother Morbai, where are we going now? Mist Mountain City. Our luck this time was pretty good. We have some gains and want to go to Mist Mountain City to buy some things. Lanshan City? Chu sneered and said, Lanshan City is one of the most powerful cities in Abysmal Heaven. Lord Zwalan, the city lord of Lanshan City, is a powerful overgod. Sovereigns were supreme existences that were superior to high gods. Longao naturally knew what it meant to be a master god. Even without going to Lanshan City, Longao could imagine how prosperous Lanshan City was. The speed of the 5 people was neither fast nor slow. Even so, the 5 of them walked for dozens of days before arriving at Lanshan City. During these several tens of days, Longao had finally finished tempering his body. He had grasped 30% of the primal chaos energy and could be considered to have truly become a beginner lower god. Lanshan City. Every time I enter Mist Mountain City, I feel like dying. Every time I enter Mist Mountain City, I need 1 crystal. Staying for a night costs at least 10 crystals. I really can't stand it. Longao was no stranger to crystals. Previously, Wang Xian and the others had already told him about crystals. They were a kind of currency in the primal chaos realm, just like gold coins in Sky Martial Continent. However, crystals could be used in all 99 heaven domains. With enough crystals, you could do whatever you wanted in the heaven domain. The prerequisite was that you didn't provoke powerful warriors. Big Brother Morbai, I won't enter Mist Mountain City first. Having just entered Abysmal Heaven, Longao didn't even have a single crystal on him. Furthermore, according to Wang Xian and the others, they would be staying in Mist Mountain City for a period of time. The four of them would have to spend a lot of money. He had just met the four of them. Even if he had already joined their team, he hadn't made any contributions yet. If he were to ask for crystals, it would be too unkind. How could the four of them not know Longao's intention? Wang Xian smiled and said, "Little brother Long, although you just joined our Black Wind team, you can be considered one of us. You just entered Heaven Domain, we understand that you don't have any crystals on you. Let's go, we'll take back the crystals in the future." Longao seemed to want to say something. However, Morbai had already handed over 5 crystals. He shrugged helplessly and said, "Let's go. I've already said before that since you're a member of our Black Wind team, you shouldn't be so calculative." Nodding his head, Longao didn't say anything else and quickly followed the four of them into Mist Mountain City. Mist Mountain City was one of the most prosperous cities in Abysmal Heaven Domain. The city lord of Mist Mountain City, Zhualan, was a powerful overgod. No matter who it was, no one dared to be presumptuous in Mist Mountain City. Furthermore, Mist Mountain City had a rule that no matter who it was, no one was allowed to harm anyone in the city. Even more so, no deaths were allowed. Otherwise, they would be killed without mercy. Entering Mist Mountain City, Longao was a little surprised. Not to mention how big Mist Mountain City was, just the degree of prosperity was a little dazzling. "Sister Xian, may I know what you're here to buy in Mist Mountain City?" Brother Morbai's cultivation has already broken through to the peak of Lower God Realm. This time, we've finally gathered enough crystals to buy a condensation pill for Brother Morbai. We hope that Brother Morbai can successfully form a gold core in his body and become a middle god. I see. Although he hadn't refined any condensation pills before, Longao was very confident that with his alchemy skills, he could definitely refine a condensation pill because he was already an intermediate alchemist. Alchemists were divided into beginner, intermediate, advanced, heaven grade, king grade, emperor grade, supreme grade, overlord grade, and master grade. In fact, it could be more simply divided into level 1 to level 9. Level 9 was an alchemist master. Longao was a level 2 alchemist. He could definitely refine a condensation pill. "Sister Xian, may I know how many crystals are needed for one condensation pill?" Wang Xian seemed to be very surprised. She didn't know why Longao asked such a question, but she still answered, "About 10,000 crystals. As for the exact amount, it depends on the price of the pill hall. After all, the price of the pills varies from time to time. 10,000 crystals for one condensation pill? Sister Xian, are the herbs used to refine the condensation pill expensive?" "Not expensive. In fact, you could even say that it's cheap. Not to mention the herbs, in the chaotic realm, it's actually very easy to get both the pill formula and the herbs used to refine the pills. After all, getting them is one thing, refining them is another. Brother Long, unless it's some special herbs, for a level 2 pill like the condensation pill, the herbs needed to refine it would probably only cost a few dozen crystals." Chapter 2872. Elixirs were really profitable. No wonder alchemists had such a high status in the chaotic realm. Just the cost and price of elixirs were enough to make every alchemist rich. She seemed to be able to guess what Longao was thinking. Wang Xian smiled and said, "Brother Long, don't think that alchemists are rich." "Aren't they?" The four of them laughed. Morbai said with a smile, "First of all, it's not easy for alchemists to make elixirs. Otherwise, elixirs wouldn't be so expensive in the Qingyun realm. Secondly, it's very difficult for alchemists to advance. They need to make elixirs countless times. So that's why. It seemed that they couldn't wait." Morbai was now a peak low-level god. He was only one step away from becoming a mid-level god. It was just that this single step was truly a little difficult. Otherwise, Morbai and the other 3 wouldn't be so eager to buy a condensation elixir. "Let's go buy it now. Brother Morbai, if you get the condensation elixir, can you really condense the golden elixir?" "No." Morbai said helplessly. He said helplessly, the condensation elixir only increases the probability of condensing the golden elixir, but it can't guarantee a 100% success rate. Wang Xian smiled and said, if it doesn't work this time, we'll continue to collect crystals and buy more condensation elixirs for Brother Morbai. I don't believe that Brother Morbai can't condense the golden elixir. Morbai didn't say anything, but the expression on his face said it all. However, the strength of Wang Xian and the other two, just the brotherhood between them was precious. Brother Morbai, since you have 10,000 crystals, why don't you buy the herbs to make the condensation elixir with them? In this way, you should be able to condense the golden elixir successfully. Brother Long, are you joking with us? If we buy the herbs, are you going to make the elixir or me? However, Mobai was trying to figure out Longao's words. Could it be that Longao was an alchemist? Even if Longao was an alchemist in the starry sky, he had just stepped into the netherworld heavenly domain. How could he make the condensation elixir? It seemed a little impossible. Brother Long, are you an alchemist? Hearing Morbai's words, the other three all looked at Longao with questions in their eyes. Longao smiled awkwardly and said, before I entered the Chaos Realm, I had already heard that alchemists ate very quickly in the Chaos Realm, so I tried to advance at that time. My luck was not bad, and now I am already a level 2 alchemist. Heh! Level 2 alchemist? Hearing the other party say that he was actually a level 2 alchemist, the four of them were a little shocked. This was because the four of them were very clear on what it meant to be a level 2 alchemist. After all, the level 2 darns refined by a level 2 alchemist could be sold for 10,000 crystal stones. There were even some darns that could be sold for even higher. Little Brother Long, can you really refine the condensation pill? If that was the case, then it was undoubtedly great news for the four of them. On the other hand, 10,000 crystals could only buy one condensation pill. On the other hand, he could use 10,000 crystal stones to buy a lot of spirit herbs, and he could definitely refine more than one condensation pill. In that case, Big Brother Morbai could rely on several condensed cores to successfully condense a golden core in his body. Longao smiled. Longao shrugged helplessly and said with a smile, I think there shouldn't be a problem. Alright, I believe in Brother Long. Let's go and buy the spirit herbs to refine the condensation pill now. Chu Lang and the other two seemed to want to say something, but the three of them held themselves back in the end. The temptation of a level 2 alchemist was too great. It was so great that they couldn't reject it. Pill Hall. The Pill Hall had a very high status in the entire Chaos Realm. No matter which heaven it was, no one dared to offend the Pill Hall. The Pill Hall's power spread across the entire Chaos Realm. No matter which heaven it was, there would be a Pill Hall branch in every city. One could imagine how terrifying the Pill Hall's power was. Lan Mountain City was one of the biggest cities in the 9 Nether Heaven. The Pill Hall's branch wasn't weak either. In the branch, most of the spirit herbs needed to refine level 1 to level 4 darns could be bought. Just like what Morbai and the other three said. The spiritual grasses required for level 1 and level 2 elixirs were indeed very cheap. However, the spiritual grasses required for some special level 2 elixirs and level 3 elixirs were extremely expensive. Inside the Pill Hall. Although it was just a branch hall, the area of the branch hall was too big. The moment he stepped into the branch hall, Longao's eyes were a little dazed. The branch hall was like a huge football field. On the left side, there were all kinds of darns, ranging from level 1 to level 5 darns. However, level 4 and level 5 darns were very rare. On the right side, there were all kinds of spirit herbs. At a glance, there were so many types that it was impossible to count them all. Such a terrifying Pill Hall. Longao had just stepped into the Chaos Palace. Hence, he didn't know much about the Pill Hall. According to Morbai, there were too many small teams like them in every heaven. There were even squadrons and squadrons. Every team would enter different mountains to search for spirit herbs and sell them to the Pill Hall. However, the price of selling them to the Pill Hall was very low. No matter what, other than the Pill Hall, no one would buy spirit herbs. However, 80% of the alchemists would choose to join the Pill Hall. Only a small number of alchemists liked freedom. No one was an idiot. It was too difficult for them to continuously level up by themselves. Moreover, They would need to spend time to search for spirit herbs. As long as they joined the pill hall would provide them with everything. However, the refined dance would have to be handed over to the pill hall. I'm going to buy spirit herbs. Chu Lung took 10,000 crystal stones and ran to the right side to buy spirit herbs. According to Morbai, since Longao was a level 2 alchemist, he would use the 10,000 crystal stones to buy spirit herbs. Other than refining the condensation pill, he would also refine some pills for the other 3 to level up. Regarding this, Longao didn't have any objections. Morbai, it seems like you've collected 10,000 crystal stones and are ready to buy the condensation pill. However, for a trash like you, even if you buy one, I'm afraid you won't be able to condense a golden core. At this moment, 5 people walked in from outside the door. The man at the front had a tall and sturdy body. He was at least 2.5 meters tall. Behind the man were 4 people. Their clothes were black, purple, red and white respectively. Wang Kai, you're just luckier than me. You bought the condensation pill earlier and condensed a golden core. When I buy the condensation pill, I will also become a middle god. Looking at the 5 people, not only Morbai, but even Wang Xian and Wang Kai's face turned pale. Chapter 2873. Sister Xian, who are they? Wang Xian was afraid of the 5 of them. She said helplessly, the 5 of them are a small team called the Giant Team. The one who just spoke is their leader, Wang Kai. He's a beginner mid-god. As for the other 4, they are Red Wolf, Black Wolf, White Wolf, and Purple Wolf. Longao knew how strong the Giant Team was. No wonder Morbai didn't dare to provoke them. Morbai, cut the crap. I heard that you got a level 2 spiritual beast core in the 9 Phantom Mountain range. Since you have no use for it, why don't you give it to me? Do you think I'll give it to you? Morbai was furious. He couldn't understand why Wang Kai would know about the level 2 spiritual beast core that his team found in the 9 Phantom Mountain range. Level 2 spiritual beast core? Hearing the words level 2 spiritual beast core, many people in the Pill Palace looked over. After all, everyone knew what a level 2 spiritual beast core meant. Pills. Normally, pills didn't need a spiritual beast core. However, if one wanted to make pills with better effects, a spiritual beast core was a must. For example, if Longao wanted to make a condensed pill, adding a spiritual beast core and not using it were 2 different concepts. Morbai might be able to break through after swallowing 1 spiritual beast core. If he didn't add a spiritual beast core, he might not be able to break through even after swallowing dozens of spiritual beast cores. This was the difference between the 2. Longao was also surprised. A level 2 spiritual beast core was indeed very tempting. Wang Kai said softly, I hope you can keep this level 2 spiritual beast core. Ha ha ha, Morbai and the other 2 clenched their fists tightly. If it wasn't for the fact that they couldn't beat the other party, they would have attacked long ago. Not long later, Chu Lung brought back a lot of spiritual herbs and a few level 1 spiritual beast cores. He said, Big brother, this condensed pill is too important for you. That's why I bought a few level 1 spiritual beast cores. This way, the condensed pill will be more helpful to you. Thank you. Chu Lung handed over everything to Longao. His voice was extremely solemn as he said, Brother Long, please. Don't worry, leave it to me. Longao was very clear about what a middle god represented. If there was a mid-god in the Black Wind Squad, they wouldn't have to be so careful. They might even have to be wary of a squad like Wang Kai's. In a small, secluded courtyard. Such a courtyard was considered a poor area in Lan Mountain City. Even renting such a courtyard would cost thousands of crystals a month. Do you think Brother Long will succeed? I believe him. Wang Xian nervously looked at Longao who was refining pills in front of her. The 4 of them did not dare to say anything. 10,000 crystal stones, other than purchasing various spirit herbs, would also need to purchase several rank 1 beast pills. There were about 15 sets of materials. He only needed to succeed once. Nervousness. He was looking forward to it. More than that, he was worried. Before this, no one had seen Longao refine pills. What's more, Longao had just stepped into the chaotic realm. Whether he could really refine condensed pills was still a mystery. Although Longao was already a level 2 alchemist, this was his first time refining a level 2 pill, especially a high-level one. In the short span of 3 days, he had already failed 12 times. He only had 3 chances left. Could it be that he was not a level 2 alchemist? At this moment, Longao was also very depressed. If he failed the last 3 times, he would be letting Mobai down. After all, 10,000 crystal stones could buy a condensed pill. He had to succeed the last 3 times. Longao did not use the 9 revolution chaos formula to refine pills. However, it seemed that the alchemy skills that he had forcefully raised were inseparable from this formula. Time trickled by. 3 days later. Just as the 4 of them were extremely anxious and expectant, the alchemy furnace in front of Longao finally opened. 6 fragrant pills were placed in a small bottle that had been prepared beforehand. Big brother Mobai, I'm sorry. Although I am already a level 2 alchemist, I have never refined a level 2 pill before. I have wasted so many of your spirit herbs and beast pills. Fortunately, I did not disappoint you. The last 3 times were all successful. The first time produced 2 condensed pills, and the third time produced a total of 6 condensed pills. Mobai stared at the 6 condensed pills in his hand. Furthermore, they were condensed pills that had fused with beast pills. He was so excited that his body trembled slightly. Brother Long, you are too polite. I only hoped that you could refine 1 condensed pill and thank the heavens. I did not expect that you would actually refine 6 condensed pills. Moreover, they were all fused with level 2 beast pills. All of the level 1 beast pills from before had been used up. In the end, Longao used a level 2 beast pill, which was the level 2 beast pill in Mobai's hand. Chu Lung was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Big brother Mobai, with these 6 condensed pills, you will definitely be able to smoothly advance to intermediate god. In the future, our Black Wind squad will be able to greatly increase our combat power. Ha ha ha. Not only Chu Leng, but Wang Xian and Yuan Hua also laughed loudly. If a squad had a low god overseeing it, it would be a completely different concept. Big brother Mobai, since brother Long has successfully refined the condensed pills, why don't we stay here and wait for you to successfully advance to intermediate god before we leave? All right. Of course, Mobai knew what Wang Xian meant. There were dangers everywhere in the netherworld heavenly domain. If they left Mist Mountain City casually, it would be a big problem if they could even keep the 6 condensation pills, let alone break through to become a mid-level celestial by consuming pills. Big brother Mobai, this is my first time in Mist Mountain City, so I want to walk around. Mobai smiled understandingly and said, it is enough for me to have the 3 of them to protect me. You have worked hard for so long, so you should take a break. Here are 1,000 crystals. Big brother Mobai, I don't need them. Take them. If you are polite with me, it means that you don't treat me, Mobai, as a friend. Wang Xian glared fiercely at Longao and stuffed the 1,000 crystals into Longao's hands. She smiled and said, hurry up and go. 1,000 crystals is not a lot, but it is also not a little. Buy whatever you want. When Big Brother Mobai advances to intermediate god, we will leave here and head to the 9 Phantom Mountain Range. All right. Longao was not unfamiliar with the 9 Phantom Mountain Range. Many people in the abysmal heavens would enter the 9 Phantom Mountain Range to train. Other than searching for various rare spiritual herbs, they also wanted to kill spiritual beasts and obtain beast cores. For a squad like Black Wind, the 9 Phantom Mountain Range could be said to be the best place to go. After all, danger and benefits coexisted. Without experiencing danger, how could they obtain what they wanted? Longao also wanted to walk around Mist Mountain City. Without any hesitation, he turned around and quickly left the small courtyard. P.S. I still have 2 chapters left yesterday. Due to some matters, I was delayed. Tomorrow, I will make up for the 2 chapters 10 yesterday. Chapter 2874. Lan Mountain City. Longao left the poor area and wandered around. He only had 1,000 crystals, so he couldn't buy anything in Lan Mountain City. Longao didn't expect that the first thing that troubled him when he just stepped into the chaotic realm was crystals. According to Wang Xian, there were basically only 3 ways to travel from one heaven domain to another. The first way was to use a teleportation formation. However, such a formation was only in the hands of the domain lord. Ordinary people couldn't use it at all. The second method was that every once in a while, there would be a large flying divine artifact passing by from one heaven domain to another. At that time, he could spend spar, but every time he traveled, he would need an astronomical amount of spar. The third way was to own a flying artifact and choose to leave alone. However, flying artifacts were too rare in the chaotic realm. Longao sighed deeply. It seemed that it wasn't easy for him to go from the 9 nether heaven to the Blackstone heaven region. Crystals. He had to earn crystals. Only by earning enough crystals could he go to the Blackstone heaven region smoothly. There were many ways to earn crystals. If he didn't rely on alchemy, he could go to the 9 nether mountain range. Kid, what's your name? Looking at the 5 people who stopped him, Longao was disgusted. Longao. Not willing to cause trouble, Longao still answered. It was none other than the giant squad. Wang Kai smiled and said, Longao, you'll never have a future with the Blackwind squad. You can consider joining the giant squad. I can. Longao couldn't be bothered to listen to Wang Kai's nonsense. He waved his hand and said impatiently, not interested. I have something to do. I won't disturb you. With that, he turned and left without waiting for Wang Kai to say anything else. Looking at the gradually disappearing figure, Wang Kai's face instantly darkened. He didn't like Longao, but wanted to embarrass Mo Bai and the others. However, he didn't expect this Longao to be so ungrateful. I'll make you regret it. He didn't take what happened before to heart. It was Longao's first time in the Chaos Realm and also his first time in Mist Mountain City. Naturally, he wanted to look around. Excuse me, how much is this god-level door? 150,000 crystals. Longao was a little dumbfounded. Excuse me, how much is this divine artifact? 500,000 crystals. Excuse me, how much is this level 3 beast pill? 1,500,000 crystals. No bargaining. Longao casually asked around. If he didn't ask, he wouldn't know, but when he did, he was shocked. He had long thought that his 1,000 crystals were nothing, but he had never thought that it would be so unbearable. Anything he wanted to buy in Lanshan City would cost him an astronomical figure. It was really difficult for him to survive in this place. Another King failure. I've said it before, don't waste the spar. Although the refining god tower can quickly increase one's strength, it is also quite dangerous. For ordinary people, it is a nightmare. I'm just a little unwilling. Refining god tower? What is that? Longao was very curious. He stopped the 2 people who were talking, cupped his hands and asked with a smile, Excuse me, what is the refining god tower that you were talking about? Lower god. Seeing that Longao was only a beginner lower god, the 2 of them were stunned. One of them said helplessly, It seems that this is your first time in Lanshan City. You don't even know about the most important refining god tower in Lanshan City. Nodding, Longao said, It is indeed my first time in Lanshan City. No wonder. Brother, the refining god tower is known as the #1 cultivation holy land in Lanshan City. At the same time, it is also the #1 cultivation land of death. Although entering it can quickly increase one's strength, it depends on the person. It is only 1 out of 1,000. He was startled. In other words, only 1 out of 1,000 people could quickly increase their strength. Such a ratio was really terrifying. He didn't care about Longao's expression. After all, no matter who it was, they would be like this when they heard about the refining god tower for the first time. Refining god tower, from the 2nd level onwards, is known as the land of death. All lower gods who enter will die, no one is spared. Why is that? Very simple. The refining god tower has a total of 3 levels. Only middle gods can enter the 2nd level because they can comprehend force there. Only upper gods can enter the 3rd level because they can comprehend domain there. So that's how it is. Longao also wanted to take a look at the refining god tower. Even if he couldn't enter the 2nd level, it would be good to cultivate on the first level. Currently, he had just broken through to beginner lower god and could only control 30% of the primal chaos. If he could enter the refining god tower, he might be able to control 60% of the primal chaos faster and break through to intermediate lower god. Thinking of this, Longao asked, "What are the requirements to enter each time?" "Anyone can enter, but Lord Gods or God Kings definitely don't need to enter. The first level requires 10,000 crystal stones, the second level requires 100,000 crystal stones, and the third level requires 1,000,000 crystal stones." Longao was shocked. He didn't expect that just entering the first level would require 10,000 crystal stones. It seemed that the 1,000 crystal stones he had weren't of much use. "Brother, I'll say the same thing again. Although the refining god tower can increase one's strength, 3 out of 10 people who enter will die. Moreover, a large portion of people can't increase their strength after entering. Sigh. Let's not talk about it anymore. The more I talk about it, the more I'll cry." Longao didn't continue asking. It seemed that this person had just come out of the refining god tower and was still a beginner lower god without any breakthrough. He had wasted 10,000 crystal stones this time. "It seems that I have to earn some crystal stones and enter the refining god tower to take a look." The 1,000 crystal stones he had was indeed very little. Without any other choice, Longao bought some spiritual herbs and rank 1 beast pills. He could probably buy about 3 sets of fodder. However, for the current Longao, refining rank 1 pills was too easy. In the small courtyard. "Brother Morbai, you broke through?" Morbai was pleasantly surprised. He nodded and said, "It's all thanks to Brother Long this time. Although I've consumed all 6 condensation pills, I've already successfully broken through to intermediate lower god. In the future, the strength of our Black Wind squad will increase by a large margin." Hearing those words, Wang Xian and the others were simply excited to the extreme. It was still the same sentence, a mid-god was really too important to a team like theirs. Longao, who had just returned, was also pleasantly surprised when he heard that Morbai had successfully broken through to intermediate lower god. "Brother Long, thank you so much this time. There's no need for this between brothers. Right, I want to enter the refining god tower first. Can we leave after I come out?" Chapter 2875. God Refining Tower? Morbai and the others knew what the God Refining Tower meant. Wang Xian said anxiously, "Brother Long, although the God Refining Tower is a good place to train, there are dangers too." How could Longao not know about Wang Xian's concern? "With my current strength, I can't establish myself in the heaven domain. I might as well take the risk and enter the God Refining Tower." Wang Xian seemed to want to say something. Morbai waved his hand and said, "Brother Long, I believe you already know the conditions to enter the God Refining Tower. If you want to enter the first level, you have to pay 10,000 crystals. If it was before, they would definitely have it. But now, they had spent all 10,000 crystals to buy the spirit herbs needed to condense the pills. I'm going to make pills to earn crystals. Okay, I just broke through to mid-god and need some time to stabilize. When you come out of the God Refining Tower, we'll leave Mist Mountain City. In the following time, Longao made some level 1 pills. Because he added level 1 beast pills, the price was not bad. The third day. In front of the God Refining Tower. Although 10,000 crystals was expensive, there were still many lower gods who entered. Opportunity and danger coexisted. After paying 10,000 crystals, Longao successfully entered the first level of the God Refining Tower. As expected. Just as he stepped inside, Longao had already discovered that the power of chaos inside the God Refining Tower was at least 10 times thicker than outside. Soon, Longao discovered that something was wrong. Although the God Refining Tower was very helpful for training, it seemed to be able to corrode the primordial spirit. This corrosion was very weak and hard to notice even if one paid attention. What was going on? His intuition told him that this matter was not so simple. Mist Mountain City, City Lord's Mansion. As the City Lord of Mist Mountain City, Zhualan could be said to be a super person who could cover the sky with one hand. With a stomp of her foot, Mist Mountain City would tremble. Zhualan was also a Lord God expert. My lord, if we continue to corrode the primordial spirit, we might be discovered by these people. There will be trouble. Trouble? Xuelan didn't care at all. She smiled and said, I've reached the critical point of breaking through. The primordial spirit I need is too large. I obtained this god-refining tower by accident. Right at this moment. Xuelan exclaimed in surprise. She felt the primordial spirit coming from the smelting god tower continuously. She seemed to be a little curious. The refining god tower was accidentally obtained by Xuelan many years ago. Back then, Xuelan had only been a beginner lord. Ever since she had obtained the god-refining tower and used it, her abilities had increased rapidly. In order to increase his strength, he could choose to give up everything. Mo Ying, go and see what's going on. Yes, sir. Someone was able to discover the secret of the smelting god tower, and it's actually a mere lower god. The secret of the refining god tower was something that not even the divine emperor knew. Xuelan knew very well what it would mean if the secret of the god refining tower was leaked. Longao looked at the first floor of the refining god pagoda. He was not in the mood to cultivate at all, because he had already discovered that something was wrong, and it was very wrong. The refining god tower could devour a warrior's primordial spirit. If it wasn't for the fact that his primordial spirit was special, he wouldn't be able to sense it at all. Not to mention an ordinary warrior, even a superior god or a peak superior god wouldn't be able to sense that something was wrong here. Could it be Xuelan? Longao had already asked Mo Bai and the other three about the refining god tower before. According to the four of them, the refining god tower was suddenly placed in Mist Mountain City many years ago by the city lord of Mist Mountain City. The purpose was to let everyone enter it to cultivate and earn a huge amount of crystals. Was Xuelan really so kind? Humans were all selfish. Even if Xuelan was the city lord of Mist Mountain City, she couldn't erase her selfishness. Moreover, if Xuelan was really selfless and wanted to help others break through, why would she play such tricks and absorb a warrior's primordial spirit? He wouldn't believe that there was nothing fishy about it even if he was beaten to death. Longao didn't want his primordial spirit to be absorbed by the refining god tower. If it was light, he wouldn't be able to sense anything. If it was heavy, he would die immediately. In the eyes of outsiders, some people died because of the refining god tower, and it had something to do with their own cultivation. No one would have thought that many people died on purpose. He had to retreat quickly. Longao didn't want to die here. If his primordial spirit resisted, he would definitely be discovered by the owner of the refining god tower, which was the city lord of Mist Mountain City, Xuelan. By then, it would be impossible for him to leave. 10,000 crystals would be wasted. However, under such circumstances, Longao couldn't care about anything else. No matter what, he had to leave this place first. Just as he stepped out of the refining god tower, Longao was stopped by someone. You actually discovered Master's secret. Very good, very good. Feeling the powerful aura of the man in black who suddenly appeared in front of him, Longao's heart skipped a beat. This was because he could clearly sense that the man in black in front of him was actually a superior god. If he wasn't wrong, he should be a peak superior god. Such a super expert wasn't someone he could fight against. However, at this moment, Longao was almost certain that his guess was right. There was a problem with the refining god tower, and it was a huge problem. He didn't dare to talk nonsense. Longao was very clear about the gap between him and the other party. He turned around and prepared to leave. The demonic shadow snorted and said coldly, "Want to leave?" The demonic shadow didn't put Longao in his eyes at all. If a beginner lower god escaped from the hands of a peak superior god, that would be the most shocking thing. After all, space divine tools were very rare. Among all the divine tools, only space divine tools and flight divine tools were the hardest to obtain. Not to mention lower gods, even over gods might not have space divine tools. But what was the result? Before the demonic shadow could even react, Longao, who was still there just a moment ago, suddenly disappeared. The demonic shadow's expression suddenly changed because he had already guessed what had happened. He didn't dare to delay and immediately released his primordial spirit. In an instant, it covered all the positions in the surroundings. Many people in the surroundings had already noticed this place. The demonic shadow didn't dare to continue probing and immediately turned around and left. In the small courtyard. Brother Long, why did you come back so quickly? Didn't you enter the refining god tower? Looking at Longao who suddenly returned, the four of them were very curious. According to their calculations, since Brother Long had chosen to enter the refining god tower, he would have to stay in there for at least a few months. After all, it wasn't easy to enter the refining god tower. Just the entrance fee alone was 10,000 crystals. Let's leave this place quickly. I have offended Zwalan. Longao originally wanted to leave by himself and didn't want to drag the four of them down. However, after thinking about it, he couldn't hide this matter. After all, they entered Lanshan City together. Zwalan only needed to check and she would know. Chapter 2876. Zwalan. Suddenly, the four of them knew who Zwalan was. Zwalan, the city lord of Mist Mountain City, was also a powerful master god. Not just in Mist Mountain City, even in the entire abysmal heaven, no one dared to provoke Zwalan. The four of them could not understand why Longao would provoke Zwalan for no reason. But the situation was critical, so the four of them did not ask much. They immediately got up and left. Mist Mountain City was Zwalan's territory. If they were slightly slower, the consequences would be obvious. The five of them were indeed very fast. As soon as they left Mist Mountain City, the city lord's order arrived at the city gate. The city gate was immediately sealed, and no one was allowed to enter or leave. Those who disobeyed would be killed without mercy. What had happened? It seemed that nothing like this had happened in Mist Mountain City in all these years. The news from the City Lord's mansion was that the Black Wind Squad had killed the guards of the City Lord's mansion, so they were wanted by the City Lord's mansion. The Black Wind Squad was not a famous squad. Usually, most people did not know them. But at this moment, ever since this incident, the Black Wind Squad had become completely famous. Daring to kill the guards of the City Lord's mansion, they were not just strong. Mist Mountain City, City Lord's mansion. Zwalan's face was very gloomy, and his killing intent filled the entire hall. My lord, I did not expect this person to have a space artifact. I made a mistake. Mo Ying was scared witless. He knew very well how ruthless his lord was. This mistake might have leaked the secret of the God Refining Tower. He was really in a life and death situation. Humph. He snorted coldly. Zwalan really wanted to kill this person, but Mo Ying was loyal to him and was a peak superior god. It would be a pity to kill him. Go and capture these 5 people immediately, regardless of life or death. But the space artifact on this person must be taken back. Feeling the killing intent on his lord slowly disappear, Mo Ying finally heaved a sigh of relief. Master, don't worry. I'll do it right away. Seeing Mo Ying slowly retreat, Zwalan's angry face showed a hint of curiosity. For so many years, the secret of the Smelting God Tower had never been discovered, not even by lords of the same level. That was the case. Zwalan could not understand how a mere lower god could discover the secret of the God Refining Tower. Could it be? After successfully leaving Mist Mountain City, Longao and the other 4 did not dare to hesitate. They immediately headed for the 9 Phantom Mountain Range. The 9 Phantom Mountain Range was boundless. Even if Zwalan wanted to find the 5 of them, it would not be an easy task. The 5 of them didn't have any flying divine artifacts, so they could only rely on their feet. However, if they wanted to rush from Mist Mountain City to the 9 Phantom Mountain Range, with the speed of the 5 of them, they would need at least 10 days. On the way, Longao had already told the 4 of them what had happened. After hearing it, the 4 of them had extremely grave expressions, because this matter really couldn't be blamed on Longao. Who would have thought that the Refining God Tower had another goal? What bullshit benefiting other martial artists? In the end, it was still Zwalan wanting to devour other people's primordial spirits to increase her own strength. Refining God Tower, it seems like such a heaven-defying divine artifact is really a treasure. Wang Xian was very worried and said helplessly, Zwalan is the city lord of Mist Mountain City and a top figure in the 9 Nether Heaven region. Now that we have offended him, I'm afraid, Wang Xian did not finish her words, but the meaning in her words was already very clear. I'm sorry, I've implicated everyone. Wang Xian said angrily, Brother Long, I didn't mean that. Since we are a team, then no matter what kind of danger we encounter, we will bear it alone. Brother Long, Xian is right. Since we are teammates, then don't say things that outsiders say. Among the four of them, only Yuan Hua did not speak. Longao did not say much. Since it had already happened, it was useless to say more sorry. It was better to think of a way to deal with the upcoming trouble. After all, Zhualan's strength and Mist Mountain City's influence were all there. Brother Morbai, this is Longao's own trouble. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with us. As long as we return to Mist Mountain City and clarify the matter, I believe City Lord Zhualan will not do anything to us. Hearing Yuan Hua's words, Wang Xian was instantly enraged. She said angrily, Yuan Hua, what do you mean? Could it be that Longao is not our teammate? If something happens to you, do we have to choose to give up on you? Morbai seemed to be a little angry. Yuan Hua, don't say anything about this. Yuan Hua glared fiercely at Longao. In his opinion, if this person did not join them, although the four of them had to work a little harder, they would still have a safe and stable life. But now, Longao had only joined the team for less than a month, and he had already caused such a huge trouble. He had actually offended Zhualan. If the four of them wanted to go against Mist Mountain City, it would be like hitting a rock with an egg. Morbai and the other two were very disappointed with Yuan Hua's performance, but they could not say much. It was a little unkind of them to always chase Yuan Hua out of the team. Brother Morbai, what should we do now? Chu Leng asked worriedly. No matter what, Zhualan's strength and Mist Mountain City's influence were there. If they did not handle it well, the consequences would be unimaginable. How could Morbai not know what Chu Leng meant? After thinking for a while, he said, you guys are right. Zhualan is a top figure even in the entire Nine Nether Heaven, let alone Mist Mountain City. If we continue to stay in Nine Nether Heaven, we will be found by Zhualan sooner or later. Longao already knew what Morbai meant. At this time, Wang Xian said, Brother Morbai, if we leave Nine Nether Heaven, just the five of us will have to pay an astronomical amount of crystal stones. Of course, if one wanted to go from one heaven to another, they could use the teleportation formation. However, such a super teleportation formation was in the hands of the domain lord of each heaven. It was impossible to use this method. Apart from this method, the only other way was to leave Nine Nether Heaven on a flying divine tool. Among the five of them, none of them had a flying divine tool. The only way was to take a large flying divine tool. However, the crystal stones that they would have to pay was an astronomical amount. It was not easy to earn such a huge amount of crystal stones, let alone in the shortest time. Let's immediately enter the Nine Nether Mountain range and try to earn as many crystal stones as possible. Then, we will leave Nine Nether Heaven. If they offended Zhualan, they would have to leave Nine Nether Heaven. Even if they went to other cities, it would be useless. After all, Zhualan's influence was too great. Let's go. The five of them did not hesitate and continued their journey to the Nine Nether Mountain range. Chapter 2877. The Nine Phantom Mountain Range. It was the largest mountain range in the Nine Phantom Heaven. There were countless spiritual beasts and spiritual herbs. There were even spiritual beasts of the godly king level. Even so, many warriors would still swarm into the Nine Phantom Mountain range. Their goal was to obtain beast cores and spiritual herbs. In the Nine Phantom Mountain range, killing and robbing were common. As long as you were powerful enough, you could do whatever you wanted. Everything was decided with your fists. The five of them entered the Nine Phantom Mountain range successfully. They could finally breathe a sigh of relief. No matter how powerful Zhualan's forces were, it was impossible for them to cover the entire Nine Phantom Mountain range. They were safe after entering the Nine Phantom Mountain range. Although we are safe for now, we can't go on like this. So, we need to earn crystal stones as soon as possible and leave the Nine Phantom Heaven. Longao felt very guilty in his heart. If not for him, the four of them would not have ended up in such a sorry state. If the five of them could not leave the Nine Phantom Heaven, the consequences would be unimaginable. Brother Morbai, what should we do to earn enough crystal stones in the shortest time possible? Chimph Yuan Hua snorted coldly. Along the way, Yuan Hua gave Longao a hard time. In Yuan Hua's opinion, it was all because of Longao that the four of them ended up in such a state. Longao did not mind at all. If not for Morbai and the other two, he would have attacked long ago. As his cultivation reached the beginner lower god level, Longao was very confident that he could defeat Yuan Hua. Apart from Morbai, only Chu Leng was a middle lower god. Wang Xian and Yuan Hua were beginner lower gods. Hunting spiritual beasts and obtaining beast cores is the fastest way to earn crystal stones. The beast cores of level 1 spiritual beasts might not be worth much, but level 2 beast cores were quite valuable. If they could obtain the beast cores of level 3 spiritual beasts, then without a doubt, even a single level 3 beast core would allow the three of them to leave the 9 phantom heaven. Nodding, Longao took out a small bottle and said, "Sister Xian, here are 20 energy condensing pills. I believe that with the help of these energy condensing pills, your cultivation should be able to reach the middle lower god level." Wang Xian grabbed the bottle and said gratefully, "Sister will not stand on ceremony with you." Yuan Hua's eyes lit up when he heard the words strength condensing pill. He, too, was a novice lesser deity, and similarly needed the energy condensing pill. "Longao, what about me?" He looked down from above. It was as if Longao was his subordinate, and he was so arrogant when he asked for things. Not to mention Longao, even Morbai and the other two frowned slightly. They didn't say much. After all, the energy condensing pill came from Longao. Even they couldn't say much. "I only have 20 energy condensing pills. It's only enough for Sister Xian to break through." Longao's meaning was very clear. There was no more, not even one more energy condensing pill. He was infuriated. Yuan Hua was not a fool. Of course, he knew that Longao did this on purpose. "Longao, you have to know that we are in this situation because of you. Don't you think you should compensate us?" Before Longao could speak, Yuan Hua continued, "Consider it compensation. Give me 20 energy condensing pills." Yuan Hua. This time, Yuan Hua didn't give Morbai a chance to speak. He said, "Brother Morbai, I know that you are all good people. But good people need to know when. We were chased for no reason, and the person who chased us was Zhualan, the city lord of Mist Mountain City. Longao, as compensation, shouldn't you give me 20 energy condensing pills?" Morbai didn't know what to say. Wang Xian, however, was a little angry. She scolded, "Yuan Hua, are you crazy? Ha ha, Wang Xian, you got 20 energy condensing pills. Of course, you can make sarcastic remarks here. What about me? I was chased for no reason, and you guys got all the benefits. If you want it, I'll give it to you." Grabbing hold of Wang Xian, Longao's face also became a bit cold. "Brother Long, it's okay." Longao sneered and said, "If it's someone on our side, not to mention 20 energy condensing pills, even if it's 200 energy condensing pills, I'll give it to him." "Longao, what are you trying to say?" Yuan Hua was instantly angry. He didn't expect Longao to be like this. Could it be that he found out something? As the leader of the Black Wind Squad, how could Morbai not know that Longao was implying something? He waved his hand, stopping Yuan Hua from continuing. "Brother Long, we are all brothers. I've gone through life and death with them many times. Some things can be said, and some things can't be said." Morbai wouldn't believe that Yuan Hua would betray them even if he was beaten to death. He was helpless. If it wasn't a last resort, he wouldn't want to expose Yuan Hua. However, this situation was very dangerous. If Yuan Hua continued to follow the four of them, he knew what the consequences would be. "Yuan Hua, if I'm not wrong, you've already established contact with Zhualan a day ago. Along the way, you've been leaving marks everywhere. If I hadn't erased them, I'm afraid we would have been discovered by Zhualan. Am I right?" "You're talking nonsense. You're wrongly accusing me. You want us to fight among ourselves. You despicable thing. I'm going to kill you." "Enough." Morbai's face was extremely gloomy. Although Yuan Hua didn't say much, the meaning in his words was very clear. If they still couldn't figure out whether Yuan Hua did it or not, then they would have wasted their years. Yuan Hua, let me ask you, did you do it or not? Yuan Hua originally wanted to say no, but looking at Mobai, Chu Leng, and Wang Xian beside him, he finally shook his head and said angrily, "That's right. I secretly contacted Zuolan City Lord and left marks along the way. I didn't expect that Longao would erase them along the way. Brother Mobai, don't blame me for being heartless. It's all your fault. You're shameless." Wang Xian was very angry. She had seen shameless people before, but she had never seen such a shameless person. He was clearly the one who betrayed the team, but now he still said such words. He was the most shameless of shameless. However, Mobai was relatively calmer. He said helplessly, "No matter what, Brother Long has no choice. As for us, as a small team, no matter what happens, we should never abandon him. If we were like that back then, how could the four of us be like this now?" Yuan Hua sneered and roared angrily, "The four of us were fine. Why did you let a piece of trash come in and ruin our lives? Only death awaits us if we offend Zuolan City Lord. Do you really think that we can leave the 9 Netherworld heavenly domain smoothly? This is truly a joke among jokes. Extremely laughable. Truly laughable." Chapter 2878. What do you want? Mobai was furious. He didn't expect Yuan Hua to be like this. No matter who was right or wrong, a team must persevere. They must not abandon anyone. Mobai and the other two knew very well that if it were Yuan Hua, they wouldn't abandon him either. But Yuan Hua's performance had disappointed them too much. "Brother Mobai, I want to leave the Black Wind team." "Okay." Everyone had their own ambitions. Mobai and the others didn't insist. "Right at this moment. So it's the water pipe Black Wind team. Mobai, I didn't expect that before I made a move, your Black Wind team had already offended City Lord Zuolan. Looks like you're dead for sure this time." The giant team's captain, Wang Kai, was a junior lower god. The other 4 wolves were not to be underestimated. Looking at the 5 people in front of them, Mobai and the others' faces changed. "Wang Kai, what do you want?" The current Mobai didn't fear Wang Kai at all. After all, he had successfully broken through to junior lower god. Once the two started fighting, it was unknown who would win. Wang Kai was also furious. If he had known that Mobai could break through, he would have thought of a way to get rid of the Black Wind team. Letting the tiger go back to the mountain would leave behind future troubles. Very simple. Your Black Wind team dared to kill the guards of the City Lord Mansion. City Lord Zuolan has already announced to the entire Netherworld Heaven that anyone who can kill your Black Wind team will be heavily rewarded. You. Preemptive strike. Mobai didn't continue talking nonsense. He knew very well that this matter couldn't be resolved easily. Instead of being passive, he might as well take the initiative. That way, he would have the upper hand. In the blink of an eye, Mobai and Wang Kai were already fighting. As for the 4 wolves, they immediately surrounded Longao, Chu Leng, and Wang Xian. Right at this moment, Yuan Hua had already left the Black Wind team. Thus, he stayed far away and didn't leave. He just watched the show. Actually, Yuan Hua's intention was very simple. If the Black Wind team and the giant team fought and both sides suffered heavy losses, then he would be able to reap the benefits. The 4 members of the giant team, Purple Wolf, Black Wolf, White Wolf, and Red Wolf, were all mid-lower gods. On the other hand, on Longao's side, apart from Chu Leng, who was a mid-level low-level deity, the other 2, Longao and Wang Xian, were only low-level deities. The giant squad's overall strength was still slightly stronger than the Black Wind squad. Wang Xian and Chu Leng were gradually unable to hold on. If this situation continued, the consequences would be obvious. Longao's face became colder and colder. It was already so strenuous for him to deal with White Wolf, let alone the other 2. What should he do? According to Yun Shi, whether it was his Shenyuan sword or the Chaos Axe, he should not use them unless he had no other choice. Otherwise, he would definitely bring a fatal disaster to himself. But now, how could he not use the Shenyuan sword? The situation was critical. Longao could not care about anything else. Instantly, a A sword appeared in Longao's hand. It was the Shenyuan sword. In the next second, an unparalleled battle intent suddenly rose from Longao's body and shot straight to the 9 heavens. White Wolf, who was fighting with Longao, suddenly felt a strong fighting intent rising from the other party's body. He was shocked. He didn't know what was going on. Why would such a terrifying fighting intent suddenly burst out from the other party's body? What was going on? Not to mention White Wolf, even the others were in disbelief. After all, Longao was only a low-level deity. It was unbelievable that he could erupt with such a terrifying battle intent. White Wolf, end this quickly. Yes. White Wolf did not dare to be careless. Although there was a difference of 1 level between a low-level deity and a mid-level low-level deity, there were plenty of people who could counterattack and fight. For Longao to be able to erupt with such a terrifying battle intent, it was enough to prove something. 9 god-slaying swords, first sword. With Longao's strength, he could not forcibly use the second sword. It was only when he killed Yi Ku and the other 2 that he had no choice but to use the second sword. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Longao would not use the second sword easily. After all, the consequences of the backlash were not pleasant. The Shenyuan sword in his hand slashed out with endless battle intent. It was like a dragon soaring to the 9 heavens. White Wolf was completely shocked. Because he realized that he did not even have the confidence to resist the battle intent erupting from his opponent. What was going on? Such a situation had never happened before. Not to mention that his opponent was only a low-level deity, even a high-level low-level deity, or even a peak low-level deity, would not be able to do this. It was very strange. Just as White Wolf was in a daze, the Shenyuan sword in Longao's hand had already slashed down. Strangely enough, White Wolf did not even try to dodge. It was as if he was just standing there, waiting to be killed. Under normal circumstances, even if White Wolf was not a match for Longao, it should not be like this. However, the terrifying battle intent that erupted from Longao's body caused White Wolf to be a little distracted. In a battle between experts, the slightest difference could decide the outcome. Catcher. After killing White Wolf with 1 slash, before the others could even react, Longao had already charged in another direction. His speed soared to the extreme because he had already discovered that Wang Xian and Chu Leng were starting to be unable to resist. If this continued, who knew what would happen? After joining the battle, Longao did not want to be sloppy at all. He continuously slashed out, sword after sword. The continuous sword chi struck the other 3 wolves and forced them to retreat. Regardless of whether it was Wang Xian or Chu Leng, when they saw that Longao was actually so strong, the 2 of them were pleasantly surprised. However, no matter what, Longao had just stepped into the heaven domain from the starry sky. In less than a month, his strength had already risen to such a level. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. The 2 of you, hold back Red Wolf and Purple Wolf. I will deal with the Black Wolf. Okay. Chu Leng and Wang Xian had already seen Longao's strength with their own eyes. The 2 of them immediately held back Red Wolf and Purple Wolf, allowing Longao to deal with the Black Wolf. In just a few seconds, Longao had already killed the Black Wolf with 1 slash. It was easy to imagine what happened next. In less than a few minutes, Longao had consecutively killed 4 mid-level low gods. Chu Leng and Wang Xian stared at the young man in front of them, stupefied. They simply could not imagine that a novice low god could kill 4 mid-level low gods consecutively. It was simply inconceivable. Yuan Hua, who was standing at the side, was also a little dumbfounded. However, he felt even more jealousy. He clenched his fists tightly. If not for the fact that he could not kill Yi Shiwen, he might have personally taken action. I will teach you a lesson later. After dealing with the 4 intermediate lower gods, Longao prepared to continue helping Morbai. After all, who knew how long it would take for the battle between the 2 to end? Chapter 2879. 4 against 1. Wang Kai was furious to the extreme. Until now, he didn't expect that in a few minutes, his 4 teammates would all die. The culprit was this so-called beginner lower god. If he didn't kill this person, he wouldn't be able to get rid of the hatred in his heart. However, Wang Kai was very clear about the current situation. It was basically impossible for him to win against 4 people by himself. Retreat. As the saying goes, revenge is a dish best served cold. How could Longao and the other 3 not know what Wang Kai was thinking? The 3 of you, lend me a hand. The 3 of them didn't know what Longao wanted to do, but they still nodded. Shen Yuan, sword in his right hand, burning heart flame lotus in his left. At this moment, Longao finally prepared to use burning heart flame lotus. He knew very well what the consequences would be if the news that he had burning heart flame lotus spread out. Strange flame. You actually have strange flame. Looking at the burning heart flame lotus in Longao's hand, not only Wang Kai, but even Morbai and the others were completely shocked. They knew very well what strange flame meant. There were a total of 23 types of strange flames in the Chaos Realm. Every strange flame was a heaven-defying item. Anyone who had strange flames would become a super expert in the future. Tempage, there are many things you don't know. Longao only snorted coldly. Taking advantage of the moment when Wang Kai was shocked, the Shen Yuan sword in his hand had already fiercely slashed out. At the same time, the burning heart flame lotus in his hand was also reflected. Fighting with all his strength. Even if Longao had strange flame, it was still very difficult to kill a middle god. However, the situation now was different. The power of burning heart flame lotus was needless to say. Just as Wang Kai was touched by burning heart flame lotus, his entire body let out a miserable cry that resounded through the entire world. In a short second, Wang Kai, who was still alive and kicking, had already been burned to ashes. Not even dregs were left. In order to destroy the evidence, Longao also burned the corpses of the other 4 people. He swallowed his saliva fiercely. Wang Xian asked in shock, "Brother Long, did you do this?" Longao smiled and said, "The 3 of you, to tell you the truth, there is an inheritance left behind by a super expert in the galaxy I'm in. That's why I obtained this strange flame. I hope you won't reveal this matter." The 3 of them naturally knew what the heart-burning flame lotus meant. Morbai smiled and said, "We know what's important." Chu Lung seemed to have thought of something. He probed, "Brother Long, did the inheritance you obtained come from Senior Battle Emperor?" Chu Lung actually guessed it. Longao was very surprised. Longao did not doubt the 3 at all. He said, "That's right. I have obtained Shenyuan Bubai's inheritance." So that was the case. Shenyuan Bubai, also known as the War Emperor, dominated the entire Chaos Realm. The 3 of them had never imagined that Longao had actually obtained the Battle Emperor's inheritance. "Brother Chu, how did you guess?" Shenyuan sword. Longao then looked at Yuan Hua. His meaning was very clear. No matter what, Yuan Hua had already left the Black Wind Squad. Moreover, he had contacted Zhualan. If Yuan Hua were to leak his information, he was afraid that trouble would come endlessly. Morbai sighed deeply in his heart. How could he not know what Longao meant? "Brother Long, Yuan Hua has always been our brother. There are some things that cannot be done. I understand. However, he has to swear that today's matter will not be leaked." Morbai looked at Yuan Hua and said, "Yuan Hua, although you have already left the Black Wind Squad and are no longer our brother, we have been through thick and thin together. Therefore, you still have to swear that today's matter will not be leaked. How about it?" "Okay." Yuan Hua naturally did not dare to say no. The strength that Longao had just displayed was too terrifying. He could even easily kill a mid-god, let alone Yuan Hua. If it was not for Morbai, he might have been killed by Longao. After Yuan Hua swore, Longao and the other 3 immediately set off. 6 hours later, Mo Ying finally arrived with the 2 high gods. He asked in a cold voice, "Where are Morbai and the other 3? Yuan Hua respectfully bowed and said, "Reporting to my lord, just now, Morbai and the other 3 killed Wang Kai and the other 4 of the giant squad. They are heading northeast for about 6 hours. Did you make a mark?" "I have already made a mark on Wang Xian's body. If nothing unexpected happens, we should be able to follow the mark to find the 4's tracks." Yuan Hua was very confident about this. "Okay, let's chase." In order to avoid Zwalan's pursuit, Longao, Morbai, and the other three had already gone very deep into the 9 Phantom Mountain range. There were powerful spiritual beasts here, and there were even high-god spiritual beasts. However, even so, the 4 could not care about anything else. Wait, why do I feel as if someone is following us? Brother Long, what is going on? Sister Xian, your body. Wang Xian naturally knew what Longao meant. She immediately began to inspect her body. Gradually, Wang Xian's expression became more and more unsightly. She said, "It seems that Yuan Hua left a mark on my body. I really did not expect that Yuan Hua would do such a thing." Chu Lung was very angry, but Morbai said, "Since Yuan Hua is so heartless, then don't blame us for being unrighteous. From now on, Yuan Hua is no longer our brother. Sigh, it's too late." Longao felt very helpless. He also did not expect that Yuan Hua would do such a thing. It seemed that he had not been very careful. If he had killed Yuan Hua earlier, this would not have happened. In the next second, 4 figures suddenly descended. They were none other than Mo Ying and the other 3 who had followed the mark. Yuan Hua was one of them. "Yuan Hua, as expected, it was you. How have we wronged you for you to betray us again? You really are shameless." Wang Xian was infuriated when she thought of how Yuan Hua had left a mark on her body. She had never thought that Yuan Hua would betray them a second time. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to discover his mark on her body. Yuan Hua directly chose to ignore them. He coldly said, "You chose him. Don't blame me. If I didn't betray you, then I would be the one to die." Wang Xian seemed to want to say something, but Morbai waved his hand and said, "Our brotherhood is broken. There is no point in saying more." Mo Ying was very impatient. He said, "As long as you obediently follow me back to Mist Mountain City, the 4 of you can live. Otherwise, none of you will be left alive." Morbai and the other 2's expressions were very grave. Mo Ying and the other 2 were all high gods. Not to mention the 3 of them joining forces, even any one of them was not an existence that they could contend against. Chapter 2880. Return to Mist Mountain City? That was a joke. Mo Bai and the other 3 knew that if they followed the 3 back to Mist Mountain City, they would die. "Do you think you can bring us back?" Mo Ying was furious at Longao. It was because of this that he was almost killed by his master. As long as it was Longao's spatial artifact, even Lord Zwalan would be tempted, let alone him. After all, in the entire Chaos Realm, flying and spatial artifacts were the rarest. Lord has already instructed us to see them if they are alive or dead. Mo Bai and the other 2 were prepared to die. No matter what happened, they couldn't follow the 3 back to Mist Mountain City. "Brother Mo Bai, don't resist. I will bring you out." They still couldn't fly out of the Chaos Palace, but it was good enough that they could hide inside. Ever since they entered the Chaos Realm, Longao had probed the Chaos Palace. Previously, in the vast starry sky, others could enter the Chaos Palace for 3 months. But ever since they entered the Chaos Realm, no matter who it was, they could only stay in the Chaos Palace for a day. Even so, it was enough. Just as Mo Ying and the other 2 were about to make a move, the situation suddenly changed. The 4 people who had been there just a moment ago suddenly disappeared. Even though Mo Ying already knew that they had a spatial artifact in their hands, he still did not know how they had left. This was the first time Yuan Hua saw such a situation, and he was stunned. Inside the Chaos Palace, looking at the unfamiliar space, Mo Bai and the other 2 knew what happened. It turned out that Longao had such a heaven-defying spatial artifact. No wonder he told them not to resist. "Brother Long, who is this?" As soon as they entered the spatial artifact, the 3 of them saw that there was a jade bed in the spatial artifact. On the bed lay a devastatingly beautiful girl, giving off a very peaceful feeling. "She is my wife." Due to some reason, she fell into a long slumber. "Wife." Mo Bai and the other 2 seemed to have guessed something, but they didn't say anything. Qin Shuangshuang had always been in the Chaos Palace, and she was the only one who could stay in the Chaos Palace for a long time. As for the reason, even Longao didn't know. He didn't want to talk about Qin Shuangshuang. "You can only stay in my spatial god artifact for a day. After a day, The spatial god artifact will automatically send you out. However, if nothing unexpected happens, they should leave. We understand. This time, it was all because of Yuan Hua. Otherwise, no matter how powerful Zhuolan was, it would be impossible for her to find them so easily. Must kill. Longao wanted to kill Yuan Hua. It didn't matter if Yuan Hua was their teammate or not, he had betrayed them time and time again. Just this point alone was enough to take his life. He sighed deeply. Brother Long, if it's possible. Before Mobai could finish speaking, Wang Xian had already said, Brother Mobai, we can forgive Yuan Hua for betraying us once, but he betrayed us again and again. Are we going to endure it forever? Chu Leng also said, since he doesn't treat us as brothers, why should we show mercy? Mobai was an extremely loyal person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken in Longao previously. After all, not every team was like the Black Wind team. If it was any other team, if they met someone like Longao who had just stepped into the Chaos Realm, not only would they not help him, they would even kill him for his belongings. Mo Ying looked at the 4 people who had already disappeared, and his face became gloomier. Once was an accident, but twice was still an accident. If he couldn't complete the mission this time, Mo Ying could imagine that once he returned to Lan Mountain City, he would be destroyed. The other party's spatial god artifact was very powerful. Even he couldn't lock onto it. Lord, what should we do now? Anger. Endless anger. All of a sudden. Mo Ying looked at Yuan Hua and asked coldly, who is this person? Longao, just stepped into Juyu Tian not long ago. He came from below. Brother Mobai pitied him, so he let him join the Black Wind team. As for Longao's origin and secrets, I'm not too sure. Mo Ying stared at Yuan Hua in front of him and sneered, it's too troublesome to ask like this. It seems like I have to search his soul. Search his soul? Hearing Mo Ying's words, Yuan Hua was completely scared out of his wits because he knew better than anyone what a soul search meant. Once the soul was searched, even if he didn't die, he would be crippled. In this man-eat-man world, being crippled was worse than death. Lord, I've already told you everything I know. Without giving Yuan Hua a chance to continue, Mo Ying had already made his move and began to search his soul. His face became more and more solemn, and then, Mo Ying's face became more and more surprised. Shenyuan's sword, spatial artifact, and even strange flame. Everything was too sudden. After killing Yuan Hua with one palm, Mo Ying said with a smile, I'll immediately inform Lord about this. Longao saw everything that happened outside clearly. He didn't have the slightest bit of pity. In fact, as long as he took the risk, Longao was confident that he could bring Yuan Hua back. After confirming that Mo Ying and the other 2 had left, Longao brought them out of the Chaos Palace. As soon as he came out, he said, Yuan Hua was searched by the other party. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Mobai and the other 2 didn't know what to feel. Even Wang Xian and Chu Leng, who were the ones who wanted to kill Yuan Hua, didn't say anything. Since Yuan Hua was already dead, all grudges should end. Forget it. Yuan Hua only has himself to blame. However, Brother Long, since the other party has already searched Yuan Hua's soul, then there's no doubt that Zhuolan already knows your secrets. Whether it's the spatial artifact, the strange flame, or the Shenyuan sword, Zhuolan won't let them go easily. We have to leave 9 Netherworld Heaven as soon as possible. Morbai's meaning was very clear. Zhuolan and Mist Mountain City's forces were too large and powerful. If they continued to stay, Zhuolan would go crazy over the refining God Tower's secrets and the temptation of these treasures. Therefore, the only way was to leave this place as soon as possible. It was easy to say, but it was difficult to actually do it. If the 4 of them wanted to leave 9 Netherworld Heaven smoothly, they would need an astronomical number of crystals. Longao thought for a moment and said, we have to kill second-rank spirit beasts as soon as possible. Only by obtaining more beast cores of second-rank spirit beasts can we leave this place as soon as possible. Otherwise, every minute we stay here will be another minute of danger. Chapter 2881. Killing a second-level spiritual beast was easier said than done. However, Mobai and the other 2 knew very well that the only way now was to kill more second-level spiritual beasts. Brother Mobai, How many second-level spiritual beasts do we need to kill to gather enough gems to leave Abysmal Heaven? I received news that a flying warship will pass by Abysmal Heaven in about a month. As for where it's going, I'm still not sure. Brother Morbai, how many gems does one person need? Wang Xuanxuan was overjoyed and couldn't wait to ask. If one person is in a low-class warehouse, it'll only cost 1 million gems. If it's a medium-class warehouse, it'll cost 10 million gems. As for the high-class warehouse, it's not for sale. Even Longao couldn't help but be shocked. 100 gems for one person, and it could only be in a low-class warehouse. Morbai continued, a second-level spiritual beast core costs 200,000 gems to 1 million gems. If we're lucky and kill a high-level second-level spiritual beast, it'll only cost 4 second-level spiritual beast cores. The medium-class warehouse was too much of a scam. If all 4 of them wanted to go up, it would cost a total of 40 million gems. What kind of concept was that? Mist Mountain City. Mist Mountain City had been restored to its original state. Even so, there were still people talking about it. The Blackwind Squad was a nameless squad. Any random god from the Blackwind Squad could easily annihilate the Blackwind Squad. But the result? The Blackwind Squad actually dared to kill the guards of the City Lord's mansion. They were really amazing. I wonder how the Blackwind Squad is doing now. Morbai is really powerful. He actually dared to kill the guards of the City Lord's mansion. I really admire him. Morbai isn't an impulsive person usually. What's going on this time? Why did he provoke the City Lord's mansion? No one knows what's going on. It's better not to talk about it. Such discussions could be heard everywhere in Mist Mountain City. City Lord's mansion. After receiving the news from Mo Ying, Zuolan wasn't angry. Instead, she was overjoyed. If she could snatch Shenyuan Bubai's treasure, the heaven-defying strange flame, and a very powerful spatial artifact, no one below God King would be her match. She stood up. Looking at the endless void in the distance, Zuolan personally led several high gods and quickly left. Zuolan was already a peak over god. She was only a step away from becoming a God King. It was just a step away, but the difference in strength between the two was like heaven and earth. Other than the God Refining Tower, if he could obtain what Mo Ying sent back, then even if he had just broken through to God King, he would still be able to contend against veteran God Kings. Time flew. 1 month later. After a month of fierce fighting, Morbai and the other 3 finally killed 8 second-grade spirit beasts and obtained 8 second-grade spirit beasts. He did a rough calculation. 8 grade 2 spirit beasts were more than enough to leave the 9 nether heaven. The most dangerous place was the safest place. After putting on a disguise, Longao quietly entered Mist Mountain City with the 8 level 2 spirit beast cores. No matter what, only in Mist Mountain City could 8 level 2 spirit beast cores be sold for a good price. Zuolan wasn't in Lan Mountain City. Currently, no one in Lan Mountain City would have thought that Longao would dare to appear here. He was simply courting death. On a huge platform tens of thousands of meters away from Lanshan City. Seeing Longao return safely, Morbai and the other 2 were pleasantly surprised. Brother Long, how much did you sell in total? 5 million crystal stones. If the 4 of us leave this place together, we can get an additional 1 million crystal stones. Good, good, good. In 2 hours, the flying warship will arrive. At that time, as long as we successfully board the flying warship and leave, even Zuolan won't be able to lock onto us. Longao and the other 2 were pleasantly surprised. They were finally going to leave this place successfully. Before the flying warship arrives, let me tell you about the flying warship. The flying warship we are on has 2 overgods guarding it. Ordinary heavens wouldn't dare to provoke it. Overgods, not to mention the lower heaven regions, even in the middle heaven regions, they were overlords. For example, Zuolan was a peak overgod. Once she became a God King, the status of Mist Mountain City would probably rise again. Longao didn't expect that a flying warship would have 2 overgods guarding it. Let's board the warship. Don't go to the middle warehouse. Once we are discovered, we will be killed immediately. Is there no way for us to enter? There is. You have to pay crystal stones. For example, 10,000 crystal stones for 2 hours. They had learned their lesson. If they wanted to survive in the chaotic realm, besides having great strength, crystal stones were also indispensable. Look, the flying warship is here. At this moment, a huge object slowly approached from afar. At a glance, it looked like several towering mountains connected together. It looked extremely majestic. This was the flying warship. The flying warship looked extremely slow, but it was actually very fast. In just a few seconds, the flying warship had arrived. The door opened and a middle-aged man in red clothes came out. He said, "The warship will stay here for 5 minutes. Those who want to board, hurry up. This is the entrance to the lower warehouse. Those who want to board, please use the special passage over there." Damn, a special passage. Longao was helpless, but he had no choice. He could only pay 4 million crystal stones and enter the passage with Morbai and the other two. They entered the battlefield. 5 minutes later, the flying warship continued to move forward. The space inside the warship was huge. The lower warehouse was quite good. There were many rooms next to each other. It looked like there were a lot of rooms. According to the rules of the warship, no matter how many people there were, as long as they were in a group, they had to stay in the same room. Fortunately, the rooms that the 5 of them were allocated were quite good. However, they still had to pay 100,000 crystal stones. Inside the warship, they couldn't reach their destination smoothly just by paying 4 million crystal stones. Once they entered the flying warship, they would have to spend crystal stones all the time inside the warship. The 5 of them squeezed into a small room. They were all very depressed. There was no need to think too much about it. The middle-grade warehouse was definitely much better than the low-grade warehouse. Unfortunately, the crystal stones they had to pay were 10 times more than the low-grade warehouse. 40 million crystal stones wasn't a small number. At least the current Black Wind Squad couldn't take out so many crystal stones at once. They could only stay in the lower warehouse. 100,000 crystal stones only for 10 days. It's really a scam. 10,000 crystal stones a day, 1,000,000 crystal stones only for 3 months. If we can't take out the crystal stones, we will definitely be kicked out. When that time comes, we will be kicked out of the warship. We will be in big trouble. Chapter 2882. Morbai thought for a moment and said, "I heard that you can earn crystals on the flying battleship." Wang Xian and Chu Lung weren't surprised at all. Earning crystals didn't mean that they could definitely earn crystals. Longao had 1,000,000 crystals on him. 100,000 crystals paid for 10 days of rooms. But thinking that 10 days was impossible, he took out another 500,000 crystals and paid for 50 days. 2 months. The 5 of them could stay on the battleship for 2 months. But they could only stay in their rooms. If they left their rooms, they would need crystals at all times. What a headache. Mist Mountain City. Zuolan and Mo Ying had already returned to the city lord's residence. But Zuolan's face was very gloomy. "Lord, according to the information we received, if nothing unexpected happened, Morbai and the other 3 have already left 9 Netherworld Heaven on the flying battleship." His face was getting gloomier and gloomier. Originally, he thought that he could obtain the Shenyuan sword and the strange flame. That way, he could use the God Refining Tower to break through to God King. But the result? He personally acted, and several high gods surrounded him, but Morbai and the other 3 still escaped. Humiliation. This was a huge humiliation. Primal Chaos Realm had a total of 99 heavens. Who knew which heavens the 4 had run to? Zuolan was very clear how bad the situation was. As long as the 4 were still in 9 Netherworld Heaven, he was confident that he could find them. After all, his status and power in 9 Netherworld Heaven was there. But in other heavens, not to mention him, even the ruler of 9 Netherworld Heaven wouldn't be able to reach into other heavens. The most helpless thing was that he didn't know which heavens the 4 had gone to. Continue searching. If you find any clues, report back immediately. Yes, Lord. Mo Ying was extremely terrified. Luckily, his master didn't act. Only Zuolan was left in the hall. Longao, I will definitely find you. On the flying battleship. I just received news that in 1.5 months, we will pass by Blackstone Heavenly Region. Why don't we disembark there? Continuing on the flying battleship was too expensive. If they couldn't earn crystals, who knew what would happen? Blackstone Heavenly Region? Longao was instantly overjoyed. It seemed like the Yun clan was located in the Chenkuan city of the Blackstone Heavenly Region. He even said that he would think of a way to head to the Blackstone Heavenly Region in the future. Big brother Morbai, I have a friend in the Blackstone Heavenly Region's Chenkuan city, let's get off there. He was very surprised. But after thinking about it, he felt relieved. It was impossible for Longao to be the only one to step into the primal chaos realm from Longao's starry sky. If that was the case, it was indeed a good thing. Alright, 1.5 months later, we will be in the Blackstone Heavenly Region. Peng peng, peng peng peng. Right at this moment, there was a knock on the door. Chu Lung walked over and saw a middle-aged man standing outside. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes, and he had a murderous expression on his face. What can I do for you, sir? The middle-aged man said coldly, I'm short of money. Lend me 1,000,000 crystal stones first. I'll return it to you later. Borrow crystals? Could he get it back after lending it out? The four of them had not expected that there would be someone who would come to borrow crystals so openly. But the four of them were clear of the other party's strength. High-level middle god. Such strength was indeed far above theirs. Chu Lung's face did not look too good as he said, sorry, but we've already used up all our crystal stones to purchase the room. We're left with less than 10,000 crystal stones. If you need them, you can take them. 10,000 crystal stones? Ha ha ha. You mother*** could take me, Tong Dabao, as a beggar? Very well, you four had better wait for me. Tong Dabao turned around and left, seemingly extremely furious. He had not expected that a low-level middle god and 3 lower gods would dare to be so arrogant in front of him. What's going on? Wang Xian was completely dumbfounded. She had thought that as long as they did not leave the room, there would be no trouble. But by the looks of it, things were not that simple. Borrowing crystals? Seemed like this was really tyrannical. Morbai sighed helplessly and said, that's normal. The battlefield is just for us to ride. It doesn't guarantee our safety. It's fine as long as we don't damage anything here. Then if that person attacked us just now, wouldn't the battlefield be responsible? Morbai shrugged helplessly and said even more helplessly, the weak are prey to the strong. It's a very normal situation. That person just now was afraid of damaging things. Otherwise, Morbai did not continue speaking. But the meaning behind his words was very clear. If that person was not afraid of damaging things, that person would have already attacked. Once a high-level middle god attacked, things would become very troublesome. If there were 1,000,000 crystal stones, Morbai would definitely be willing to settle things peacefully. But in the end, they had already bought the room with 600,000 crystal stones. They only had 400,000 crystal stones left. Even if they took it out, the other party would not be willing. It was really a troublesome matter. Brother Morbai, what should we do now? I don't know. But we've been hiding in the room. I believe that the other party would not dare to do anything out of line. As long as we endure for a while, we will be able to reach the Blackstone Heavenly Region in 1.5 months. As long as they entered the Blackstone Heavenly Region, they would be fine. But 1.5 months was really a troublesome matter. But since things had already come to this, the four of them could only sit down and cultivate. Not long after, Tong Dabao, together with a bald man, kicked the door open and said with a smile, Brother, it's the four of them who are not willing to lend us crystal stones. So we can't recoup our capital. Recoup our capital? Could it be gambling? Longao had really learned something. He thought that in the chaotic realm, as long as one could become a warrior, they would only care about cultivation. He did not expect that there would be such a thing as gambling. The bald man sneered and said, For friends, I, the bald man, have always liked to make friends. Previously, I lost so badly that I wanted to borrow 1,000,000 crystal stones from you. I heard from my brother Dabao that you are not willing to lend it to me. Seems like you don't treat us as friends. Tong Dabao was a high-level middle god, and the bald man was a peak middle god. The two of them were not to be underestimated. If they fought with all their strength, Longao had 50% confidence that they could kill the two of them. But now, the situation was different. They were on a flying battleship. If other people found out the secret, it would be even more troublesome. Morbai smiled and said, "You too misunderstood. It's not that we are not willing to lend it to you. But we have already paid 1,000,000 crystal stones each, and we still have 600,000 crystal stones for the room. So, all our belongings are only 400,000 crystal stones." This brother asked for 1,000,000 crystal stones. We really can't afford it. Chapter 2883. 400,000 crystal stones. Hearing that the other party actually had 400,000 crystal stones, Tongdabao was completely furious. Just now you said that you only had 10,000 crystal stones, but now you actually have 400,000 crystal stones. You're obviously playing with us. The bald man was also a bit angry. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Although the flying warship couldn't be destroyed at will, it didn't mean that they couldn't kill. As long as they didn't break anything, even if they died, no one would say a word. If I'm not wrong, you should have more than 400,000 crystal stones. He waved his hand. The bald man stopped Tongdabao from continuing and said, "Whether it's true or not, leave 400,000 crystal stones and cut off an arm for each of you, and today's matter will end here." Cut off an arm and hand over the crystal stones. Even Mobai's expression changed a bit. He was extremely angry. But was anger useful? No matter where they went, they had to respect strength. If they had a fist, they could do whatever they wanted. If they didn't have strength, they would be beaten wherever they went. He suppressed the anger in his heart. Mobai was very clear that if he was impulsive at this time, then the four of them would probably end up worse. Reason suppressed impulse. "You two, we really only have 400,000 crystal stones. We'll give them all to you, and today's matter will end here. How about it?" "Me." Tongdabao snorted heavily. If the four of them had just handed over 400,000 crystal stones, then it would have been fine. But just now, they said that they only had 10,000 crystal stones. Now, they had 400,000 crystal stones. In Tongdabao's opinion, the four of them obviously didn't put him in their eyes. If he didn't punish the four of them, how could he stand on the warship in the future? "Don't bargain with us. 400,000 crystal stones, plus an arm for each of you. Otherwise, even if I have to risk being punished by the warship, I'll still kill you." Mobai and the other two's faces instantly turned pale. Did they really have to cut off an arm? If that was really the case, not to mention the problem of face, it was something that they couldn't make up for. What should they do? Mobai and the other two were almost certain that the bald man and Tongdabao dared to be so unscrupulous because they definitely had connections with the patrol on the battlefield. Otherwise, how could they be so bold? "We won't give you a single crystal stone. As for cutting off an arm, don't even think about it. Scram. Scram. Reject." After hearing Longao's words, Tongdabao, the bald man, and Morbai's trio were completely dumbfounded. "Brother Long, don't be reckless." Morbai and the other two were very worried. Of course, they knew how powerful Longao was. However, it was virtually impossible for him to kill a high-level god and a peak god. Taking a step back, even if he could kill the two of them, once the patrol found out about what had happened here, the consequences would be obvious. Tongdabao laughed out loud. Very good, very good. The two of us have never seen such an arrogant person. Brat, if you have the ability, come with us to the life and death arena. If I lose, I will give you 10 million crystal stones. If you lose, not only will you have to hand over all the crystal stones you have, you will also have to leave your life behind. How about it? Life and death arena. As the name suggested. On the flying warship, it was inevitable that there would be some grudges. Under the premise that the warship was not damaged, the only way was to go to the life and death arena. Here, you could fight to the death as much as you wanted. Even if you died, no one would pursue the matter. As for other places, most people were not willing to make a move. Not interested. Longao was no fool. Although he was very confident in his own power, If he didn't use the strange flame and the Shenyuan sword, there was no way he could kill a high-level god. Neither the Shenyuan sword nor the strange flame could be casually revealed. If the patrol or the two sovereigns of the warship found out, it was easy to imagine what it would mean. If I kill you, we won't have any trouble. Baldy, Tongdabao, what are you doing here? Right at this moment, a man who was at least 267 meters tall walked over. His fiery red clothes were very eye-catching. It was the patrol of the battlefield. Although this patrol was only a low-level god, neither Tongdabao nor the Baldy dared to casually offend him. Their attitudes were as respectful as they could be. The patrol's power might not be much, but he had a powerful backer. Whoever dared to offend the patrol would be chased out of the battlefield. In the worst case, they would be killed without mercy by the experts on the warship. Brother Yi, the four of them didn't take us seriously. I just wanted to teach them a lesson. The red-cloaked patrol coldly glanced at Morbai's group of four and said coldly, the four of you had best know your place. Otherwise, even if you die, no one will ask. What was the meaning of this? Longao's group of four were no fools. They could clearly sense that this patrol was completely biased towards the two of them. However, there was nothing they could do. Who told them to be on the warship? The two of you should restrain yourselves. If the higher-ups find out, it'll be hard for me. Open and above board. The Baldy laughed mischievously. He gave the red-cloaked patrol a look, and the red-cloaked patrol left. If they still didn't understand what was going on, then Longao's group would have lived in vain. The four of you have seen it. Even the patrol can't save you. It's best if you cut off your arms and hand over all your crystal stones. We brothers are magnanimous and won't bicker with you. Otherwise, when the time comes, it won't be as easy as cutting off your arms and handing over your crystal stones. The Baldy was used to being tyrannical. Of course, he wouldn't leave just like that. What kind of joke was this? If he didn't teach the four of them a lesson, how could he and his brothers survive in the lower-class cabin in the future? Morbai's group of three's faces became more and more gloomy. The three of them had already compromised in their hearts. Although their hearts were filled with unwillingness and anger, cutting off their arms and crystal stones was nothing compared to the so-called life. The two of them had colluded with the patrol. They couldn't gain any advantage in this matter. There was also no place for them to reason with, so it was better to avoid unnecessary trouble. Wang Xian even had the heart to die. In the end, she was still a girl. If her arms were cut off, how could she face others? However, when she thought about how if she didn't do this, she would be killed by the other party. She might even be raped. Just thinking about it made her feel terrified. Give us one day. When the time comes, we will give you 10 million crystal stones. Alright, I want to see what kind of tricks you want to play. The Baldy and Tongdabao didn't put the four of them in their eyes. In any case, they were all food on the table. They wanted to see what kind of tricks the other party could play. In the end, the two of them treated the four of them as mice and were preparing to play a game of cat and mouse. Chapter 2884. 10 million crystals. Hearing Longao's words, Morbai and the other two had no idea what was going on. Why was Longao acting like this for no reason? If they couldn't hand over 10 million crystals in a day's time, they could imagine what the consequences would be. Within the room. Brother Long, what are you planning to do? The three of them knew Longao's personality very well. If he wasn't completely confident, he wouldn't be so rash. Could it be that Longao had a way to deal with this? But when they thought about how the other party was a god, and a high-level one at that, and a peak one at that, the three of them felt a deep sense of helplessness. I'm going to cut the weeds and pull out the roots. Cut the weeds and pull out the roots. The three of them were frightened by Longao's idea. Wang Xian said helplessly, Brother Long, we can't do it by ourselves. And if you kill the two of them, I'm afraid. Wang Xian's meaning was very clear. Even if Longao could borrow the power of the strange flame to cut the weeds and pull out the roots, if the battlefield was damaged slightly, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao smiled mysteriously. In the following period of time, Longao began to set up a formation. After thinking it over, in the end, he decided to use the formation to deal with the two of them. After all, only a formation could silently kill the two of them, and cut the weeds and pull out the roots. This is unbelievable. Brother Long, aside from being a second-level alchemist, you're also a formation master. It seems that Longao isn't just a formation master, he's even a second-level formation master. What a second-level formation master meant, the three of them knew better than anyone else by 10,000 times. After setting up the formation for an entire day. Brother Long, what is the name of the formation you set up? 3 lives 3 deaths God-slaying formation. Longao was very confident in the formation he had set up. Unless a high god came, he would be able to kill even a peak god with the help of the formation. Originally, he hadn't wanted to use the formation. After all, if word of this got out, it wouldn't do him any good. But now, the situation was clearly different. If he didn't use the formation, it would be impossible to kill the two of them. Brother Long, are you confident? Absolutely. The next day, Baldy and Tong Dabao slowly walked over. 10 million crystal stones was not a small number. The two of them were very clear that if they did not have 10 million crystal stones, the four of them would not dare to say such a thing. Tong Dabao said fiercely, if they can't take out 10 million crystal stones today, I will cut the four of them into 8 pieces. The bald man nodded and said, when the time comes, let's make it quick. Don't destroy the room. Otherwise, even if we have a good relationship with the inspector, I'm afraid he won't be able to protect us. On a flying warship, the inspector was not the biggest. This matter, in particular, could not be known by the two overgods. Otherwise, not to mention them, even a high god would not be able to escape death. Boom! The door was violently kicked open. Looking at the 4 people who were already waiting for him, Tong Dabao smiled and said, it seems that you have prepared 10 million crystal stones. Why don't you take it out? We can spare your lives, but you still have to leave your arms behind. Tong Dabao had always been domineering. The reason he did not kill the 4 of them was because of the inspector. Otherwise, one could imagine what would happen. Other than 10 million crystal stones, we have even better treasures. But it's better not to let others know. Otherwise, we will be in a lot of trouble. The two of you, we will hand over the treasures. We only hope that you will not make us leave our arms behind. Also, we will follow you in the future. Thump. After the door was closed, the attitude of the 4 people immediately changed completely. They did not care at all. The two of them did not put the 4 people in their eyes at all. What a joke. Among the 4 of them, the strongest was only a beginner mid-god. Not to mention the 2 of them working together, even one of them could easily deal with the other party. In front of absolute power, all schemes and tricks were jokes. We did not intend to go against you, but you have gone too far. Don't blame us for not being polite. Not being polite. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Hearing the other party's words, it was as if they had heard the funniest thing in the world. Both Tong Dabao and the bald man laughed crazily. If it were other people, their laughter would definitely attract the attention of the other rooms. But now, there was no movement in the surroundings. But, the two of them did not notice it. Strictly speaking, the two of them did not care at all. I've seen people who don't care about their lives. But, I've never seen people who don't care about their lives as much as you guys. Since that's the case, don't leave your arms behind. Leave your lives behind. They attacked as they pleased. In the eyes of Tong Dabao and the bald man, the 4 of them were not even ants. In the next second, the situation changed. The room that was normal just a moment ago suddenly changed. A sandstorm blew up, and the sun, moon, and stars were flipped. This was a flying warship. Where did the sun, moon, and stars come from? The two of them were no fools. To be able to survive on this warship for so long, they were not only strong, but also had extremely good eyesight. Looking at the situation around them, the two of them knew that they had entered a formation. The other side actually had a formation master. This was something that the two of them had never imagined. Moreover, the two of them could clearly sense that the formation they were in was a second-level formation. A second-level formation was an existence that could kill a mid-level god. No wonder the other side was so rampant. It turned out that they had something to rely on. If they had known that the other side had a second-level formation master, the two of them would not have offended them. The status of a second-level formation master was higher than that of a peak mid-level god. Even ordinary factions would rather recruit a second-level formation master than provoke a peak mid-level god. This was the status of a second-level formation master. However, it was clearly too late for regrets. The bald man suddenly said, "The four of you, it seems that there is some misunderstanding between us. How about this? Let's sit down and have a good talk. We are willing to take out 1,000,000 crystal stones as an apology. How about it?" Strength was respected. The fist was the absolute truth. If not for the fact that Longao was a second-level formation master and had already set up a second-level formation to trap the two of them, the three of them knew very well that the other side would definitely not let this matter go. They would also not take out 1,000,000 crystal stones. Longao's group of four also entered the formation. Looking at the two in front of them, he smiled and said, "Do you think that we will let you leave? Cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots to prevent future troubles." Longao naturally knew that if he chose to let the two of them off so easily, it would cause a lot of trouble. At that time, if a red-clothed investigator was drawn out, it would be very troublesome. "Could it be that you really think that you can deal with the two of us by relying on this face-breaking formation? Are your brains damaged? Don't be so shameless." Chapter 2885. He didn't want to waste any more words. Longao had already activated the formation. 3 lives 3 deaths Godslaughter formation. Sand danced wildly all around them, as though numerous sharp swords were wildly attacking the two. The inside of the formation and the outside of the formation were two completely different environments. Outside the room, there was no movement at all. No one would have thought that within the room, a life and death battle was taking place. "We admit defeat. Whatever you want, just say it." Longao didn't want to waste any more words. Although he could use the formation to deal with the two, the bald man was still a peak god. His power was extraordinary. The battle went on for more than an hour. The formation in the room had already disappeared. Looking at the two corpses in front of them, Morbai and the other two still hadn't reacted. A high-level god and a peak god had died just like that in a short hour. Was this real? Even though they had seen it with their own eyes, they still found it hard to believe. A heart-burning flame lotus appeared in his hand, and he directly burned the two corpses. "The two of them are pretty rich. They have more than 20 million gems." Longao didn't take all the gems for himself. He divided the 20 million gems into 4 portions, 1 for each person. Morbai and the other two didn't stand on ceremony at all. They hadn't expected that this would be a blessing in disguise. Not only were they not in any danger, each of them had acquired nearly 5 million gems. 5 million gems? What kind of concept was that? These are some deity-level gems. As for the formation and pill recipes, as well as the various spiritual herbs, I won't stand on ceremony. No need to stand on ceremony with us. Longao didn't stand on ceremony at all. After all, even if he gave these things to Morbai and the other two, they wouldn't be of much use. Instead, they would benefit from it. What Morbai and the other two needed the most were still gems. Longao had never imagined that these two, mere gods, would be so rich. 20 million gems was enough for the 4 of them to squander for a very long time. Especially now. They didn't need to worry about not having enough gems, and thus being kicked out of the flying warship. Morbai put away the 5 million gems, then said worriedly, "Although we succeeded in killing 2 of them, if this matter were to be leaked, we would still be in a lot of trouble. Thus, once we reach the Blackstone region, we'll immediately leave. As the saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry." It was better to be safe than sorry. If this matter was leaked out, who knew what would happen? How could Longao not know about Morbai's worries? He smiled. "We've already destroyed the corpses. No one noticed the battle before. No matter who asks, we won't admit it." He refused to admit it. Shrugging helplessly, Morbai smiled and said, "Since things have already come to this is the only way." As expected. The next day, Inspector Yi suddenly came into the room and asked the 4 of them, "Let me ask you 4 a question. Have you seen Baldy and Tongdabao? The two of them had a good relationship with this person, and he had given them many benefits every year. Naturally, this person did not want anything to happen to the two of them. The four of them felt their hearts skip a beat, but on the surface, there was not the slightest bit of abnormality. Morbai smiled and said, "Lord Inspector, we haven't seen the two of them since yesterday." "Really?" The inspector's face was very gloomy. He said coldly, "Someone told me that they saw the two of them come here yesterday and never leave. Could it be that you killed them?" "Lord Inspector, you must be joking. With the power of the four of us, how could we possibly kill two gods?" It really wasn't very likely. Although the inspector suspected the four of them, it really wasn't very likely. Regardless of whether it was Tongdabao or Baldy, any one of them was not in existence that the four of them could contend against. He stared fixedly at the four of them, but still didn't discover anything amiss. "If you discover the two of them, come find me. Remember, don't cause any trouble for me." "I understand." Morbai quietly handed over 2 million crystals to the inspector, then said in a low voice, "Please take care of us, Lord Inspector. As long as we live well, Lord Inspector will live well as well. Money makes the world go round." 2 million crystals was definitely not a small sum. The inspector laughed and said, "You've done well. In the future, no one will come looking for you. Only, every month. Every month, 2 million crystals. Ha ha ha, smart." Ha 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 ha. Along with the laughter, the inspector quickly left. Wang Xian and Chu Lung were used to this. After all, no matter where they went, this kind of situation would happen. Longao took out 4 million crystals from his bosom and gave it to Morbai, saying, "Brother Morbai, take these crystals. Give him another 2 million crystals and we'll be able to smoothly reach the Black Stone Heavenly Region." "I can't take it, Brother Morbai, unless you don't treat me as one of your own." Morbai was very clear about Longao's personality. He didn't say much and took the 2 million crystals. In the following period of time, the four of them didn't casually leave the room. After a month and a half, they would be able to smoothly reach the Black Stone Heavenly Region. A month later, as expected, the Red Coat Inspector came again. Morbai didn't hesitate at all. In order to not cause trouble, he immediately gave the 2 million crystals that he had prepared to the inspector. After successfully receiving the crystals, the inspector left with a smile. Every month, they would receive 2 million crystals. If this continued, no one would be willing to let anything happen to the four of them. After sending off the inspector, Morbai said helplessly, "There's still half a month before the ship arrives at the Black Stone Heavenly Region. At that time, we won't have to continue falling. Once someone like the patrol inspector was provoked, it would not be easy to get rid of him. If the patrol inspector remained on the battlefield for a few months, it would be fine. However, after a long period of time, even Morbai and the other three would find it hard to bear. 20 million crystals could only last for 10 months at most. Longao and the other two sighed. They had finally made it through. Fortunately, they were about to enter the Black Stone Heavenly Region and get rid of the 9 Netherworld Heavenly Region. No matter how strong Zwalan's forces were, they wouldn't be able to find the four of them. There were less than 10 days left before the Black Stone Heavenly Region. Dozens of inspectors came to the room of Longao and the other three. Among them was the inspector with the surname Yi. Morbai's heart thumped. Could it be that the news of Longao killing the two had been leaked out? It didn't seem possible. After all, this matter was done secretly. How could it be known by others? Thinking of this, Morbai smiled and said, "Sirs, is there anything you need from the four of us? Do the four of you know where Baldy and Tongdabao have gone?" The oldest and strongest patrol envoy asked in an indifferent voice. "How could the four of us know? Sirs, you must be joking." Chapter 2886. Is that so? The inspector let out a cold snort. A month ago, someone personally witnessed Baldy and Tongdabao enter your room. Ever since then, they haven't left. Can you give me a reasonable explanation? Longao sighed to himself. Although they had done it very covertly, it wasn't easy to keep it hidden forever. But what made Longao curious was that 2 gods didn't seem to be enough to attract the attention of several dozen inspectors. Could it be that there was something fishy about them? My lord. Waving his hand, the inspector said, "The four of you, come with me. The two sovereigns want to see you." Huh. To them, sovereigns were lofty existences. Let alone Longao, even Morbai and the other two had noticed that something was off. But two people had attracted the attention of two sovereigns. Something was definitely off. But the four of them didn't dare to refuse. If they dared to say even half a word, they would be obliterated. They followed the inspector into a courtyard. The surroundings were very elegant, and the spiritual chi of the world was very abundant. Cultivating here was an absolute pleasure. Lord Sovereigns, the four of them have arrived. You can leave. Yes. Two people sat in the courtyard, an old man and a middle-aged man. The two of them were the two sovereigns guarding the flying warship. They were Du Lei and He Zhongtian. The four of you are the Black Wind Squad, the ones wanted by Xuelan? Hearing the inspector's words, the four of them were extremely shocked. After all, very few people knew about this, especially on the flying warship. But since things had already come to this, Morbai didn't plan on keeping it a secret. He nodded and said, "Yes. Tell me, why is Xuelan hunting you down? I don't believe that you have the guts to kill a guard of the City Lord's estate in Mist Mountain City. What a powerful person." Morbai and the other three knew very well that if they didn't answer this question properly, they would probably be killed. "Lord Sovereigns, we did indeed kill someone. As for whether or not he was a guard of the City Lord's estate, we don't know." Du Lei and He Zhongtian stared at the four of them. After a while, they nodded to express their belief. The two sovereigns did not know anything about the god-refining tower. They were just curious. The four members of the Black Wind Squad were just an ordinary squad. How could they dare to kill the guards of the City Lord's mansion? How reckless. The biggest possibility was that the Black Wind Squad didn't know the other party's background. "We won't interfere in the grudge between you and Xuelan." Hearing the Lord God's words, the four of them finally heaved a sigh of relief. They were afraid that the two sovereigns would intervene in this matter. If that were the case, then things would really be troublesome. Where are the two of them? Could it be that the two sovereigns knew? Or were the two of them doing this on purpose? Their purpose was to expose the truth. In fact, the two of them did not know either. Two great gods, Baldy and Tong Dabao, did come to find us before, but they never came again. We don't know where they are. Is that so? The two master gods looked on coldly as they unleashed terrifying might from their bodies. Now that he had broken through to the overgod level, he was able to comprehend the power of space. His terrifying aura suppressed the four of them. Even so, the four of them still didn't act strangely. Once the two of them discovered something fishy, they would definitely die. Seems like they really don't know. After the two of them entered their room a month ago, no one saw them again. Could the two of them have disappeared into thin air? Although the two sovereigns did not say anything, they had already begun to suspect the four of them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have called them over this time. "I'll give the four of you one last chance. We really don't know. Even if you kill us, we won't know." The two sovereigns were indeed furious. If it were anyone else, then so be it. Even if 2,000 or even 20,000 people died, it would have nothing to do with them, let alone two people. No matter what, there were at least several million people on the flying warship. One or two people was nothing. However, it was different for Baldy and Tong Dabao. They had only just found out about this. Otherwise, they would have attacked long ago. Why would they wait until now? The two sovereigns had a rough estimate of Tong Dabao and Baldy's strength. Under normal circumstances, even if the four of them were to join forces, they wouldn't be a match for any one of them. They didn't really believe that the two of them were killed by the Black Wind Squad. "You guys leave first. Don't leave the warship for now." "Yes." After the four of them left, Du Lei asked, "Brother He, what do you think about this?" He Zhongtian thought for a moment and said, "According to my judgment, it shouldn't be them. It seems like the two of them found out that something was wrong. But that's not right. The warship never stopped. It's impossible for them to leave even if they wanted to. It was too strange. It was as if the two of them had disappeared into thin air. Everything had been fine before, but after they went to look for the Black Wind Squad, something happened to the two of them. They would never believe that it had nothing to do with the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad. Hold on to the 4 of them. If there's no other way, we'll bring them back. Okay. When the 4 of them returned to the room, Longao gave them a look and said via spiritual sense, "We've been targeted by them. If I'm not wrong, even if we reach the Blackstone Heavenly region, we won't be able to leave this place. In the end, regardless of whether we have anything to do with this matter, they'll kill the 4 of us." Morbai and the other 2 had already guessed this outcome. They weren't surprised at all. They were even a little desperate. The flying warship was different from Mist Mountain City. If they were in Mist Mountain City, they could still escape. But on the flying warship, they would definitely die. Not to mention the others, just the 2 sovereigns were not to be trifled with. Seeing that the 3 of them didn't speak, Longao knew what they were thinking. He continued to say via spiritual sense, "Don't worry. With me here, even if they are sovereigns, they won't be able to kill us." Is that true? If it was someone else who said this, the 3 of them wouldn't believe it. But for some reason, the person who said this was Longao. He was a monstrous genius who possessed the Shenyuan sword and heavenly flame. He was only a junior lower god, but he could already kill a mid-god. Just this point alone was something that countless people couldn't do. "Brother Long, please. Brother Long, our lives are in your hands. You must bring us out of the warship smoothly." Longao smiled and didn't say anything else. Actions spoke louder than words. If there was no other choice, he would bring the 3 of them into the Chaos Palace even if it meant risking danger. Chapter 2887. The room of the 4 was being closely monitored. More than 20 patrols patrolled back and forth without any gaps. Just as Longao had guessed, even if the flying warship arrived at the Blackstone Heavenly region, the 2 overgods would not allow them to leave the warship casually. In the end, they were killed by the 2 overgods. Within the room, Longao was very curious. They were just 2 unimportant people. Why were the 2 overgods so nervous? There was definitely something fishy going on. Could it be that there was something fishy about the 2 of them? Lin Fan took out their space rings and carefully inspected them. Under such circumstances, they could not enter the Chaos Palace at all. Otherwise, if they were discovered, they would be in big trouble. Lin Fan had not noticed their space rings before. Apart from crystals and a few deity-level items, there did not seem to be anything precious. Could it be because of this egg? Within Tong Dabao's space ring, Longao discovered an egg that was emitting a black glow. It was not too big, only the size of a palm. At a glance, it was completely unremarkable. As for the bald man's space ring, there was only a black dot of light. Longao knew very well that if he took out these 2 items here, the overgods might discover them. His instincts told him that the 2 overgods were most likely looking for these 2 items. "Brother Morbai, I'm going to enter the space artifact. I think I know why the 2 overgods are looking for Tong Dabao and the bald man. Brother Long, if you enter the space artifact, the 2 overgods will discover that your aura is not here." At this point, Morbai did not continue. However, the meaning behind his words was very clear. "I have an idea." Longao smiled mysteriously and immediately entered the Chaos Palace. However, before entering, Longao had already left his aura in the room. He was extremely confident that even the 2 overgods would not be able to discover anything strange about him. Within the Chaos Palace, Longao looked at the little black egg before him curiously. This was because even he could not sense what level of spiritual beast was inside the little black egg. As for the black dot of light beside the black egg, he was even more curious. The 2 overgods should not be looking for the little black egg. They should be looking for this black dot of light. Right at this moment, the black light spot was suddenly sucked into Qin Shuangshuang's body, not even giving Longao time to react. Inside the room, the 2 overgods abruptly opened their eyes. Du Lei cursed viciously, "Looks like this has nothing to do with the 4 of you. Baldy and Tong Dabao actually dared to devour the power of the light spots. If I catch them, I'll rip them to shreds." The 2 of them could clearly sense that the black speck of light they were searching for had already disappeared without a trace. It was too late to say anything. Initially, he thought that this matter had something to do with the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad, so he had been keeping an eye on them. Now, as the black light disappeared, the 4 of them did not have the slightest abnormality. This in itself already showed that there was nothing wrong with the 4 of them. It seemed like the 2 of them had secretly left the warship. Until now. Neither Du Lei nor He Zhongtian knew how Tong Dabao and Baldy had secretly left the battlefield. It was too strange and inconceivable. How did he do it? Other than anger, there was nothing else they could do. Because they couldn't find the 2 of them, there was nothing else they could do. Within the primal chaos palace, Longao was shocked. He did not know why Qin Shuangshuang would devour the black speck of light. Even after checking it over and over again to ensure that there were no negative effects, he still could not set his mind at ease. Seems like the black speck of light has some great benefits for Shuangshuang. Longao realized that the moment the black speck of light was devoured by Qin Shuangshuang, it turned into countless black specks that were scattered all over her body. Surprise! After devouring the black speck of light, Qin Shuangshuang's body started to take a turn for the better. This was especially the case for her essence spirit, which was now 2 times stronger than before. Just what sort of change was this? Crack! 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 Just as Qin Shuangshuang's body was changing, the little black egg beside her started to let out cracking sounds as well. Seemed like it was about to break out of its shell. Even though Longao did not know what sort of spirit beast was within the little black egg, he still dripped out a drop of essence blood and dripped it gently onto the little black egg. In just a few short seconds, the essence blood had completely fused into the little black egg. Not long after, crunch, 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 crunch. The black furry little thing seemed to be something out of place. It looked like a dragon, a tiger, a chileen, and a vermilion bird. Anyway, at a glance, Longao did not know what kind of spirit beast it was. He had never seen such a spirit beast. Level 2. Sensing that the black thing before him was a level 2 spirit beast, Longao was completely scared out of his wits. That was because he knew better than anyone else what a level 2 spirit beast meant. A level 2 spirit beast was equivalent to a middle god martial artist. To think that it would be a middle god right after it broke out of its shell. If it were to grow up, Lin Fan would not even dare to think about it. Seemed like he had truly picked up a treasure. Tong Dabao had obtained this black egg, but he had not managed to hatch it. That was why he had not received the approval of this little fella. At the end of the day, Lin Fan was just lucky to have picked up a bargain. If Tong Dabao had not died yet, Lin Fan did not know if he would have died from anger. "I'll call you Little Black from now on." Little Black nodded his head happily. Immediately, he leaped into Longao's embrace and nudged him with his little head. But suddenly, he thought of something. Longao's face turned terrible. Other than Qin Shuangshuang, there did not seem to be any other human or spirit beast who could stay in the Chaos Palace for more than a day. If that were the case, if he were to bring this little fella out of nowhere, who knew if he would cause trouble? Let's give it a try first. Longao left the Chaos Palace and left Little Black behind. A day later, he confirmed that Little Black could stay in the Chaos Palace as well. Longao guessed that it must be because he had fused with Little Black's essence blood. Otherwise, how could Little Black stay in the Chaos Palace for more than a day? Half a month later, the flying warship finally arrived at the Blackstone Heavenly Region. Originally, the 2 overgods had changed their mind and decided not to stop at the Blackstone Heavenly Region. Instead, they would directly return to the Middle Heaven region. As for the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad, they would kill them without mercy. However, since the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad were fine, it made no difference whether they were killed or not. As soon as the warship stopped, Longao and the other 3 had already left the room. Until now, the 4 of them were still in a state of confusion. They did not know what the 2 overgods meant. Who knew if the 2 overgods would suddenly attack them? After all, the 2 overgods were too powerful. They did not even have the slightest chance to retaliate. Chapter 2888. Do you think the 2 overgods will make a move on us? Who knows? There were a lot of people getting off the ship. At a glance, there were over 1,000 people, including Longao and the other 3. The ship's door slowly closed. At this moment, Longao and the other three finally let out a sigh of relief. They finally left the ship. Brother Morbai, why do you think the two overgods suddenly chose to give up? Not to mention Wang Xian, even Chulung didn't know what happened. Probably because they don't want to make a big deal out of it. Forget it, we finally arrived at the Blackstone Heavenly region. We can relax now. The four of them felt like they had just survived a disaster. Brother Long, I wonder where your friends are? It was just that they had just arrived at the Blackstone Heavenly region. It was a good thing to have acquaintances. Chenkuan City, Yun family. There were people everywhere. Longao stopped one of them and asked with a smile, Sir, do you know anything about the Blackstone Heavenly region? The old man smiled and nodded, Little brother, ask away. As long as I know something, I will tell you everything. So easy to talk to. Sir, do you know where the Chenkuan city of the Blackstone Heavenly region is? There were a total of 99 heavens in the Chaos realm. Regardless of whether it was the 33 lower heavens, the 33 middle heavens, or the 33 upper heavens, the territory of each heavens was boundless, and the number of cities in each heavens was not small. According to Yun Shi, the Chenkuan city could only be considered a weak city in the entire Blackstone Heavenly region. After all, the three clans didn't have a single overgod in the Chenkuan city. Within the three clans, there were only 3 high gods. What kind of concept was that? You are talking about the Chenkuan city. I do know about it. The old man took out a map and said, the location of the Chenkuan city is on this map. If we walk from here, we will reach it in about a month. A month's time was nothing to a martial artist. Thank you. Longao took out 10,000 crystals and gave it to the old man. He then led the 3 of them and left quickly. Their destination was the Yun family of the Chenkuan city. On the flying ship, Du Lei and He Zhongtian were still unwilling to give up. If they could obtain the light spot, their cultivation would definitely improve. But in the end, they didn't even get a single hair. Brother Du, I don't know why, but now that I think about it, I still feel that there's something wrong with the 4 members of the Black Wind Squad. Brother He, please speak. He Zhongtian thought about it and said, the battlefield is airtight. Let alone the 2 of them, even you and I can't leave unless we open the door. Are you saying that Tong Dabao and Baldy were killed by the Black Wind Squad? Not likely. Even now, Du Lei still couldn't quite believe that this was true. Letting the 4 of them go this time is probably the biggest mistake we've ever made. Then what should we do? Capture the 4 of them. If there's no other way, search their souls. Soul searching was a little too damaging. No matter who it was, unless it was a last resort, no one was willing to perform a soul search on a cultivator. Once his soul was searched, it would be a huge hindrance to his future martial arts. The reason why Mo Ying wanted to search Yuan Hua's soul was because he didn't want to continue his breakthrough. Otherwise, it would be hard to say if Mo Ying would be willing to do so. Sigh. Although soul searching can help us find out what we want to know, it's a little too damaging. It will be a huge hindrance to our future martial arts. How could I not know about this? Otherwise, I would have searched their souls regardless of whether it was the 4 of them who did it. What do you mean? The ship will stay in the Blackstone Heavenly region for a while. The 2 of us will go and see what's going on. That's the only way. The 2 of them were extremely regretful now. If they forced the 4 of them to stay, even if they didn't search their souls, they could at least do whatever they wanted. They didn't have to wait until now. The 2 of them were dumbfounded. The Blackstone Heavenly region was too big. It wouldn't be easy to find the 4 of them. 1 month later. Chenkuan City. Among all the cities in the Blackstone Heavenly region, it was at most a medium-sized city. There were 3 major clans in Chenkuan City. They were the Yun clan, the Yi clan and the Ling clan. The 3 clans were about the same in strength. Each clan had a high god. Yun clan. Yun Di, Yun Lu and Yun Chen were forcefully brought back to the Yun clan by Yun Shi. The moment they stepped into the Yun clan, Yun Chen was forced to cultivate in seclusion. Everyone in the Yun clan had high hopes for Yun Chen. Because Yun Chen's talent was obvious to all. She was also someone who had the potential to become a high god. If Yun Qian could really become a high god, then the Yun clan would have 2 high gods. What kind of concept was that? Once the Yun clan had one more high god, then they would be able to suppress the other 2 clans. In the courtyard, Yun Shi sat quietly. Since returning to the clan, Yun Shi seemed to have changed into a different person. Xiaoxi, what's wrong? You've been in a daze all day. Did something happen? Yun Yi, Yun Shi's father, was also the eldest son of the Yun family patriarch. He was a pinnacle medium god and was only 1 step away from becoming a high god. Unfortunately, Yun Yi had not been able to break through this step for several hundred years. Seeing her father, Yun Shi smiled and said, "Father, I'm fine. I'm just a little lazy." Lazy? Yun Yi wanted to laugh. How could he not know his daughter? If other people were lazy, he would believe it. Only his daughter would not be lazy. Yun Yi could guess that his daughter must have something going on. She just did not want to tell her father. Xiaoxi, the matter of the legacy is over. Don't think too much. If there's anything, just tell me. Yun Yi had asked Emperor Yun and Yun Lu in private. However, the 2 were tight-lipped. He could not get anything out of them. Yun Yi did not want to force the 2 heroes of the Yun clan. After all, Yun Lu and Emperor Yun were willing to stay in the starry sky for so many years for the sake of the clan. If it were anyone else, they would not be able to do it. Father, I'm really fine. Yun Shi did not care much about the starry sky, especially the legacy. Because the 3 clans had all passed on the legacy. If her father knew about it, who knew what would happen? Young miss, someone wants to see you outside. He says he's your friend. Yun Shi asked lazily, what's his name? Longao. Longao? Yun Shi's face lit up. She stood up abruptly and said anxiously, bring him in. Here. Go. Chapter 2889. Yes, miss. Looking at the surprised Xiaoxi, Yun Yi was surprised. Her daughter had never been like this before. Could it be that her daughter was like this because of this person? Not long later, Longao and the other 3 were brought in. Longao, why are you only here now? I thought you didn't come to see me. When Longao saw Yun Shi, he was pleasantly surprised to the extreme. Ever since he came to the Chaos Realm, there were strangers everywhere. Morbai Trio could be considered as his new brothers. Only Yun Shi and the others were his old friends. Sister Yun, I was sent to Abysmal Heaven the first time I entered the Chaos Channel. I just arrived in Abysmal Heaven by flying warship. After a month, I finally entered Cosmos City. He sighed. Sister Yun, let me introduce you. This is Brother Morbai, Brother Chu, and Sister Xian. They are all good friends I made in Abysmal Heaven. Hello, since you've come to my Yun family, please stay here. As if thinking of something, Yun Shi immediately introduced with a smile, Brother Long, this is my father. Hello, uncle. Yun Yi didn't say anything. She carefully looked at the young man in front of her. Intermediate lower god. He could break through to intermediate lower god as soon as he stepped into the Chaos Realm. Such talent was not bad. Could it be that her daughter liked this guy? Although his talent was not bad, in Yun Yi's opinion, Longao was far from being worthy of her daughter. In the Yun family, her daughter was the pride of the heavens. Her future husband would at least be a dragon among men. But Yun Yi didn't say much. She smiled and said, since you're Xiaoxi's friend, you're also a guest of the Yun family. You can stay here without worry. Yun Shi continued to stay. Brother Long, tell me quickly, what have you encountered during this period? Yun Shi knew very well what each heaven meant. Especially Longao, who had just stepped into the Chaos Realm. It must be dangerous. To be able to reach here smoothly was a very lucky thing. Longao did not hide anything. He roughly recounted what had happened to the few of them. The more she heard, the more shocked she was. Little brother Long, don't worry. This is the Black Stone heavenly region. No matter how powerful Zhualan is, it's impossible for him to put his hands here. Regarding this point, the few of them had already guessed. Sister Yun, I want to ask you for a favor. Beg. Yun Shi glared at him fiercely and said, if you have something to say, just say it. There's no need to beg. Longao felt as though he was a big sister to Yun Shi. He was extremely touched. After all, if it were anyone else, upon hearing that he had offended sovereign gods Walan, they would have chosen to avoid him long ago. Sister Yoon, I hope that Brother Morbai and the other two can join the Yoon family. This was what Morbai and the other two wanted. First of all, Yoon Shi and Longao were friends. If they joined the Yoon family, they would probably be treated well. Secondly, they had been running around for so many years and were a little tired. Especially after this incident, the three of them also wanted to join a family or sect. Thinking about it, the Yoon family was indeed a good place to go. No problem. I will arrange for the three of them to be Emperor Yoon's subordinates. I will definitely treat them well. I believe in Sister Yoon. Longao did not doubt Sister Yoon in the slightest bit. If he did, he would not have handed the three of them over to Sister Yoon. He felt guilty towards the three of them. Even at this moment, Longao still felt a little guilty. After all, if not for him, Brother Morbai and the other two would not have had to do this. Joining the Yoon family was not a bad place to go. Thank you, Missy. Morbai and the other two were extremely happy in their hearts. They already knew that Emperor Yoon was Longao's friend as well. Not only that, the relationship between the two of them was somewhat special. Men. Missy. Bring the three of them to Uncle Yoon. Tell him everything that has happened here and arrange it properly. Yes. Morbai and the other two left as well. It was only then that Yoon Shi asked, if the three of them join the Yoon family, what about you? Are you not going to join the Yoon family? Yoon Shi knew Longao well. Be it his talent or the legacy of Shen Yuan, no matter where he went, he would definitely be treated with the best. If Longao could join the Yoon family, that would be the best. Apart from that, Yoon Shi also had some personal feelings. As for what was going on with her, even Yoon Shi herself did not know. How could Longao not understand Sister Yoon's intentions? Sister Yoon, to be honest, I don't want to stay in one place forever. He did not want to be bound. He wanted to be free. Longao had already thought about this before. Yoon Shi sighed deeply in her heart and said helplessly, Brother Long, even though you are unwilling to join the Yoon family, it shouldn't be a problem for you to become the guest elder of the Yoon family, right? Of course. The meaning of being a guest elder was simple. He did not have to stay in the Yoon family all the time and could even repay Yoon Shi's kindness. This was the outcome that Longao wanted the most. Naturally, there would not be any problems. Dusk. The Yoon family. Within the main hall, the patriarch of the Yoon family, Yoon Long, was seated at the head of the table. He was also a high god, the only high god of the Yoon family. He was one of the three high gods of Cosmos City. He himself was very powerful. It was precisely because of this Yoon Long that the Yoon family was able to become one of the three great clans of Cosmos City. Below him was Yoon Yi, as well as his two younger brothers, Yoon Bo and Yoon Tianlai. The two of them were both gods, but one was an early-stage god while the other was a mid-stage god. Hearing Yoon Shi's words, Yoon Bo immediately said angrily, Little Shi, have you gone mad? If you want to become a guest elder of our Yoon family, you have to at least be an early-stage god. And our Yoon family only has a few guest elders. This Longao you just spoke of is only a mid-stage demigod. How could he be qualified to become a guest elder of our Yoon family? Second brother is right. Little Shi, a guest elder is no small matter. Don't get your personal feelings mixed in. If one became a guest elder of the Yoon family, one would be able to enjoy proper treatment. If it were a god, that would be one thing. After all, a god's power was there for all to see. However, for a puny demigod, a mid-stage demigod at that, to become a guest elder of the Yoon family and enjoy the treatment of a guest elder, to say nothing of the two of them, most likely the entire Yoon family would not be willing. Naturally, Yoon Shi would not reveal that Longao had received Xuanyuan's legacy. After all, she knew very well what it would mean if this matter were to be revealed. Not just Yoon Bo and Yoon Tianlai, even Yoon Shi's father, Yoon Yi, was a bit unhappy. In his ability, he didn't want his daughter to get too close to Longao, much less allow him to become a guest elder. This was completely challenging the bottom line of the clan. Not even Yoon Shi would allow it. Chapter 2890. Lil Shi, this is impossible. Father. She waved her hand. Naturally, Yunyi couldn't allow Longao to stay. As for the 3 people Longao had brought with him, she didn't say much. After all, 1 god and 2 demigods would be of great help to the clan. Grandfather. Yun Long laughed. Lil Shi, grandfather knows that you are interested in this Longao. But just as your father, second uncle, and third uncle said, the matter of being a guest elder can be big or small. Yun Long's meaning was very clear. He refused. Yun Shi fiercely stomped her foot, then turned and quickly left. You will regret this. Seeing Yun Shi run out, Yun Long's expression was very ugly. He said, what is going on? Yun Yi did not dare to conceal the slightest bit and recounted the previous matter in full detail. It seems that this old man guessed correctly. Lil Shi has taken a liking to this kid. But this sort of liking is a bit too blind. Father, I know what to do. Quickly resolve this. Yes. Within Yun Shi's courtyard. Seeing Yun Shi return, Longao said with a smile, Sister Yun, I just met with Senior Emperor Yun and Uncle Yun Lu. They treated Morbai and the other 2 very well. I really have to thank you for this. Looking at the youth in front of her, Yun Shi felt very guilty, but more than that, she was angry. Sister Yun, what is it? I just went to find grandfather, father, second uncle, and third uncle. It's about you becoming a guest elder of the clan. Yun Shi looked as if she wanted to say something, but hesitated. This in itself already explained everything. Longao was no fool. How could he not see that something was wrong with Yun Shi? He laughed. Longao said casually, it's fine. My relationship with Sister Yun will remain unchanged. As for the guest elder position, it's not necessary. Sister Yun, there's no need to trouble yourself over this. Longao had long since guessed that this would be the result. It was a complete joke. No matter what, the Yun family was one of the 3 great families of Cosmos City. They were high and mighty, and he was only a mid-level low god. How could the Yun family possibly agree to let him become a guest elder of the Yun family? Unless the Yun family had water in their heads. In just a few short months, Longao had broken through from a beginner demigod to a mid-level demigod. Longao was completely confident that within a month, his cultivation would continue to advance and he would become a high-level lesser deity. Such a cultivation speed was indeed monstrous. Yun Shi smiled bitterly. I'm the one who thought too simply. He felt helpless. If such a genius could become a guest elder of the Yun family, Yun Shi could imagine that in the near future, when Longao grew up, the Yun family would also rise. However, his grandfather, father, and the others couldn't see this at all. If you care, you will be in a mess. Longao shrugged helplessly and didn't say anything. The next day. May I know why Senior Yun is looking for me? Looking at the man in front of him, Longao had already guessed why Yun Yi was looking for him. It seemed that he couldn't continue to stay in the Yun family. As expected. Longao, I trust that you've already guessed why I've come looking for you. You and I are both smart people, and I won't beat around the bush. Morbai and the other 2 will receive the best treatment in the Yun family, and the Yun family will also vigorously nurture them. As for Little Shi's feelings for you, aside from the feelings between siblings, there is nothing else. Yun Yi shook his head. Laughing, he said, you don't understand Little Shi. In all these years, I've never seen her treat any man like this. You are the first. What do you want me to do? Leave the Yun family and live anywhere in Cosmos City. In the future, if possible, you can leave Cosmos City as well. He wasn't surprised in the slightest. He had already guessed what Yun Yi meant. I can't leave for now, but I will definitely leave Cosmos City in the future. As for what you said just now, I can do it immediately. Smart person, Yun Yi really liked Longao in her heart. His decisive character. However, when she thought of her daughter, she knew that she absolutely couldn't like such a person. Yun Yi knew that she had to be like this. She absolutely couldn't have the slightest sloppiness. Here are 1,000,000 crystal stones. You can take them. Longao stood up and didn't say anything else. If Yun Yi didn't take out the crystal stones, he might have thought highly of Yun Yi. But now, there was no need to say anything more. Yun Yi let out a deep sigh as she watched the figure gradually leave. Being in the Yun family, There were some things that were beyond his control. If it wasn't for the Yoon family, his daughter wouldn't have done this easily when she finally found someone she liked. Cosmos City. Although Cosmos City wasn't much in the entire Blackstone Heavenly region, it was still very big. The entire city square was very lively. It could be described as a sea of people. The biggest reason why Longao didn't want to leave Cosmos City was because he wanted to help Yunshi break through to the lower god realm. No matter how powerful a peak lower god realm was, he was still a lower god. If he could break through to the middle god realm and reach the peak middle god realm, it would be a completely different concept. Longao. In the city square, Ling Ruori saw Longao from afar. She was shocked. Because of the primordial spirit oath, she couldn't reveal that Longao had obtained Shenyuan Bubai's inheritance. However, after such a long time, she had heard that Longao didn't enter Cosmos City. It seemed like he was sent to another place in the chaotic world. But now, Longao was here. It seemed like the Yoon family treated Longao well. Ling Ruori saw Longao, and Longao saw Ling Ruori too. He turned around and left. No matter what, Ling Ruori and he were enemies in the vast starry sky. If it wasn't because of him, Ling Ruori and Yi Han wouldn't have fallen to such a state. They didn't even get anything and even lost their men. Longao, wait. We are old friends. Aren't you willing to say hello to me? Ling Ruori walked quickly. Many people looked at her curiously. After all, Ling Ruori was quite famous in Cosmos City. Ling Ruori came in front of Longao and said with a smile, "We served different masters before. We must be enemies. Since what happened before is over, are you still holding a grudge?" One would not hit a smiling person. Even if we aren't enemies, we can't be friends. Why are you looking for me? You didn't go to the Yoon family. Why should I go to the Yoon family? Ling Ruori was very smart. However, she didn't point it out. Instead, she said, "Since I have nothing to do, I want to walk around with you." You can't reject such a request, right? Longao was curious. He didn't know what Ling Ruori wanted to do. However, he nodded and replied, "I can't ask for more." Chapter 2891. Ling Ruori, there's something I'm curious about. Tell me about it. I hope I can answer it for you. Ling Ruori's attitude took a 180-degree turn. It was as if she had changed into another person. Since you have reached the peak of lower deity, you should be able to become a middle deity if you buy the condensation elixir. One condensation elixir cost 10,000 crystal stones. For a warrior at the peak of lower deity, 10,000 crystal stones for one condensation elixir was too cheap. Longao had always wanted to ask this question, but he did not have the time to ask Morbai and the others. Speaking of condensation elixir, Ling Ruori's face turned pale. She sighed deeply. Thinking of condensation elixir, Ling Ruori said helplessly, "You don't know. The condensation elixir and other elixirs sold in the market are not very expensive, but their effects are not very good." Longao was very clear about this. The condensation elixir that he made was not comparable to the other condensation elixirs sold in the market. "I have taken thousands of condensation elixirs, but I still can't break through. It's because these elixirs are not very effective. Even if they are mixed with beast elixirs, they are still the same. It's very difficult to buy a good condensation elixir. Even if there is one, the price is very high and there is no market for it. So that's why. There are too few alchemists in the chaotic realm, especially those who are good." Longao also sighed endlessly. He was only a level 2 alchemist, but the elixirs that he made, especially the condensation elixir, could help a warrior at the peak of lower deity to become a middle deity. "You want to buy condensation elixirs?" "Not yet." Ling Ruori did not think much about it. After all, Longao was only a middle lower deity. There was still a long way to go before he reached the peak of lower deity. It was impossible for a middle lower deity to break through to the peak of lower deity without dozens of years or even hundreds of years. "Longao, what happened before has been written off. What do you think?" "No problem. No matter where one was, there were no eternal enemies and no eternal friends." Longao did not want to be Ling Ruori's enemy. The reason why he stayed here was to help Sister Yoon to break through. Ling Ruori smiled. Longao, you've already received Shenyuan Bubai's inheritance. I'm sure you'll become a godly emperor in the future. I want to be friends with you. Chen was the only one who knew about the War Emperor's inheritance. Even Ling Ruori and Yi Han did not know about it. Do you think it's okay? He sighed deeply again. I need your help, but I don't know if you're willing to do it. Do you want to see what it is? Ling Ruori seemed to be a little shy. She said softly, my family can't help me buy a high-grade condensation pill. Other than that, there's only one other way. It can help me break through the peak of the lower deity stage and become a middle deity. What is it? Longao also sighed endlessly. No matter what. The Ling family had always been one of the three great families of Chengkuan City. With their strength, they couldn't even obtain a single high-grade condensed pill. But thinking about it, it made sense. If the three great families could obtain a high-grade condensed pill, then Yun Shi, Ling Ruori, and Yi Han would have broken through the peak of the lower deity stage and become a middle deity. I want to do dual cultivation with you. In that case, I'll definitely become a middle deity. Cough, 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 cough. Hearing what Ling Ruori said, Longao coughed violently. He had never thought that Ling Ruori's idea was dual cultivation. Are you not willing? Ling Ruori was very confident about her appearance. Normal people could not resist her appearance. Since she had taken the initiative, Longao would definitely agree as long as there were no accidents. But what was the result? Longao smiled and shook his head. He said, I'm sorry. I'm not interested. Why don't you look for Yi Han? He seems to be interested in you. Timpi. Ling Ruori snorted. She thought that Longao was playing hard to get. But looking at the expression on Longao's face, she wondered if he was really not willing to do dual cultivation with her. Could it be that her charm had decreased? Longao, I'm not joking with you. I won't hide it from you. You've already inherited the War Emperor's legacy. If we do dual cultivation, not only will I be able to break through the middle deity stage smoothly, I'll even be able to go further in the future. Using her body to exchange for power. He had to admit that Ling Ruori was going all out in order to obtain power. He shook his head helplessly. Longao did not look down on Ling Ruori because of this. After all, if one wanted to survive in the chaotic world, power was everything. With power, one would be able to survive no matter where one went. If one did not have power, then sorry, one would be beaten up no matter where one went. Ling Ruori, I've said it just now. I can forget about what happened in the past. We can also be friends. But I won't agree to dual cultivation. I can tell you one more thing. Although I've received Master's Shenyuan sword and 9 godslaying swords, I haven't inherited his legacy. You don't have to ask. I won't tell you who the legacy is. Ah! How could Ling Ruori not know that Longao was not lying to her? If that was the case, then who had inherited the War Emperor's legacy? After all, the person who had inherited the War Emperor's legacy could become a divine emperor in the future. Could it be Yun Shi? Or Emperor Yun? Or Yun Lu? If Longao did not say it, she would not be able to guess it. She said, You're really generous. Do you know what the War Emperor's legacy means? How could she not know? Longao smiled and said, Everyone has different thoughts. I want to walk my own path. Walk his own path? Ling Ruori's eyes lit up. It seemed that she had underestimated Longao. But thinking about it, it was true. If it was not for Longao in the land of inheritance, all of them would have died. They would not have been able to return safely. Since you don't want to, then I won't force you. But you've said it just now. We're friends, not enemies. As you wish. Ling Ruori was a very scheming woman. Longao did not want to deal with this kind of person. But the situation was a little special now. It was better to avoid trouble. If it was not for Sister Yun, he would not have continued to stay in Chengkuan City. Ling Ruori. If you treat me as a friend, then call me Ruori. Longao was helpless. He could only say, Ruori, I have 3 condensation elixirs. If you can afford it, I can sell them to you. What do you think? Condensation elixir? Ling Ruori did not have any hope for the condensation elixir. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.